Good evening, everyone. Now, before we get started, just make sure that my sound is coming in okay, because I've had problems with sound before, and I want to get it solved now. Let me double check. Probably should have checked this beforehand. But make sure, yep, all good, coming in, fantastic. All right, so I've checked my settings, and my sound should be coming good, because too many times it's coming in, JL, you sound hollow. Well, I am hollow. It's a hollow time right now. Okay, but so welcome everybody to this kind of impromptu live stream. I typically, there's not a day I go live on, but obviously, things have gone down. So, and we're going to dive into it. But welcome to I Killed Earl and James Apperson to the channel. Thank you so much for hanging out and talking about this stuff. But before we dive into any of that, let's make sure that I do, my housekeeping, stuff like this. So there's the banner. Thank you so much for all the channel supporters and everything that comes in. I do appreciate that. And I want to say hi real quick, in case we get, before it gets too big, say hi to the people that are here. Raven Darkstar and NA, good to see you both. Angel Gamer as well. Icarus, thanks so much for being here. Left-Handed Jedi, good to see you. Second Best Bob, thanks so much for being here. It's probing time, 666, good to see you, bud. Hey, Charlie Welch, good to see you. The only man on the internet you never make a bet with. Good to see you, Charlie Welch. Says Yo Jables. Love that. Thank you, bud. I'm loving the fact that Jack Black is playing Krampus in an upcoming, or they say Satan, but he looks like Krampus to me in an upcoming Christmas movie, which I think is going to be great. Raven Darkstar, good to see you. Me, good to see you. Elizabeth S., thanks so much for being here tonight. Rasheen, good to see you. Armageddon's Fire. Belly Wood, Carrie Ann Chrysler, who is listening and lurking. Thank you so much, Carrie. I do love my lurkers. Appreciate you hanging out. And, of course, as well, Juggernaut Jared Reed, Ryan Donovan, thanks so much for being here tonight. Dr. Nimrod, good to see you. And as well as Azo Teddy Bear, good to see you. And Harry Iceberg, good to see you as well. And the Turtle Moves, thanks so much for hanging out. And Dr. Nimrod, who has been a member of the Godless Army for 27 months. Thank you, Dr. Nimrod, for that support. I do appreciate that. All your channel memberships and, of course, super chats, everything, all goes to helping this channel, run and do the things that I do. So I do appreciate that. So I don't have to, use my HVAC certification to go out and repair people's ACs, which isn't, it pays well, but it's a suck job. But good to see. Thank you so much for that. And Azo Teddy Bear as well has been a member for 24 months. Thank you so much. Left-Handed Jedi has been a member for 10. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate that. Aaron Reese says, I'm not happy, but I'm here. And, well, you may not be happy, and I understand why, but a happy birthday to my good friend Aaron Reese and former co-host of the Week in Horror podcast. So, Aaron, happy birthday. I hope at least your day was good as it could be, hanging out with the family and doing all the cool stuff. So, happy birthday to you, bud. And I see Jefferson Spatchcock is here again. He was there at the premiere that I just had. Thank you so much, Jefferson Spatchcock. And I think I got... Aaron Reese says, silly man, HVAC doesn't suck, it blows. This is true. Yep, this is very true. Oh yeah, AC work is best in the winter. Right? Heaters are much easier to fix than ACs. I will say that. Heaters are much easier to fix. So Second Best Bob has gifted 10 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Second Best Bob. Appreciate that. Please, all you new members, enjoy all the cool custom emojis I've made for you and the channel badge. The channel badge here at Bridge of the Divide is the expanding mind meme. So the longer you're with me, the more your mind expands. See what I did there? So thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. So obviously, November the 5th. Remember the 5th of November. How could we ever fucking forget? Things did not go the way we anticipated. And I'm just gonna, I apologize. I apologize to my guests. I'm gonna kind of I've been trying to formulate my words, for the past couple of days, because you have the initial response, which is just a gut check. Now, going into the election, I was not as confident. Even though I know where I voted, I know where my voice stood. I was not I was not as confident going into this election as I was in 2020. I simply wasn't. I felt that there were some real problems, some real deep-seated problems on the Democratic side that were not. There seemed to be a lack of capacity to engage voters. to really engage them. So, and I think that's apparent by the fact that despite Obama level excitement, like it was back in 2012, okay, despite Obama level excitement, 12 to 15 million voters did not turn out to the polls. So now I know that the reaction is that the initial reaction is to find who to blame, who to blame for this. And the problem is there's too much blame to go around. There is obviously blame to be said on the American people. There's for the people that voted for their own self-interest instead of the interest of the country. There's people who did not vote at all. There's people who and then of course down ballots as well. However that might be, there's problems all over the place. There's obviously blame to go with the mass media. There's blame to be set on the GOP. There's blame to be set on the DNC. There's blame to be set on Kamala. There's blame all over. Trying to go through who all to blame for this, it would take like hours, and to express exactly how this failed like this. And once I got past that, I have to say that the one thing I took away, because I suddenly realized when I was looking at social media, by the way, I'm off Twitter now. I deleted it.
I did that years ago. Yep, my mental health has improved.
I couldn't do it this time. I just couldn't. So it was like literally within hours, my feed started exploding and exploding with hateful shit that I had to a level that I hadn't seen before. And I'm not on Twitter that much, but it was grotesque. And there's no more evidence by like on November 7th, like the demonstration that was held at Texas State University on November 7th, and the things that like Nick Fuentes is saying and shit like that. It's really, really toxic. And I just you look at the video that I just responded to on my channel. Look at my premiere. That's what I deal with on the daily. I don't need that shit in my life. So I don't get anything out of Twitter. I don't have a blue check mark, and I had maybe a couple hundred followers there, but I rarely, if ever, post it, and most of the shit that's on there is just bait. So it's it doesn't serve me any monetary purpose, doesn't serve me any marketing purpose. So I just got rid of it. I don't need it. I just for my own mental health. And the fact that it was just taking up memory space on my phone is pretty much it. So, but I realized something very important. In the wake of this thing, I saw the board flip. And I saw that for the last 4 years, watching Trumpanzees and all those people out there running their arguments, deprivation of rights, blah, 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 like this, all this other screaming stuff, even though we know it's bullshit. But people freaking out on social media and using social media to vent their concerns and and basically, cry over like the blah, blah, blah. And Democrats, people on the left going, cry about it, Cope, he lost, blah, 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 and all that shit. Flip the board, and then all of a sudden, the left is becoming the right. The leftists or liberals, whatever, the people who voted for Kamala are now behaving the way that the right did. In 2020. Yeah. So the board is just flipped, which tells me that this problem goes a hell of a lot deeper than the surface bullshit that the media would feed us. I will not become or be put into a position to become that which voted against ostensibly my rights and the rights of people I love. I will not become them in my fight to preserve these things. And that allowed me to step back and realize it's really easy to fall into that pit where we're all shaking our fists and we're screaming and we use social media to defend ourselves, and we're working ourselves up into a tizzy, which ultimately doesn't really do anything except allow us to kind of decompress, but doesn't have any like major, beyond effect. And I realized I was not going to allow them to turn me into them. And so
I think a big problem that's happened within the left social justice warrior type mentality is, and this has been something that I've experienced personally, but anytime you have a difference of opinion on something, they go in a sort of mob mentality, and we go, no, here are the facts, and this is why you're wrong, and you're morally bankrupt, and blah, 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 blah. And what we're doing by attacking people who would normally be asking questions, who are white, cis, poor, het males, who, let's just face it, they dominate the country. They're a huge part of the electorate, and they're a huge part of the reason why we're in this mess, because the left isn't giving them anything like that they can tangibly hold on to, while simultaneously demonizing them for asking questions, or having a difference of opinion. And what we're doing on the left is creating radicals and creating people that say, okay, I'm done with it. The people that are in the culture war shit, they say, I'm done. I'm disillusioned with all of this stuff. I don't want to have anything to do with it. These people treated me badly, so I'm going to go to this party. And I think that it's as surface as that is. I mean, it's petty. I've seen it a lot in my interactions with people online. We're not doing ourselves any favors by ruthlessly attacking people because they used a word we don't like.
Right. And that's ultimately, I mean, I'm not going to let them turn me into them. I'm not going to become them.
And by attacking them, we are becoming them.
Exactly. Yeah. And then lose sight of what needs to be done. Now,
exactly. Not seeing bigger picture.
So that was my kind of like, and I had the initial response everybody else did, even though I wasn't as, I wasn't as confident, because I saw issues, and those were expressed when I did the live streams with Jefferson Spatchcock. I was less confident this go around than I was with Biden.
I knew we were not going to win.
And
I still cried, but I knew we were not going to win.
So it was shocking, and you start running through your mind. But I've gotten through it. But obviously, and James, what was like when it hit? Like, what going in? What were your thoughts and your thoughts afterwards?
So initially, my thoughts were denial, which I'm pretty sure is the first stage of grief. Like waiting for the other one.
Everybody's been going through the stages of grief.
Right. And the
next one, we'll get to righteous anger.
Right. Well, I landed on anger pretty quickly, and I did do a stream, and I told anybody coming into the room, I'm like, look, this is a group therapy session, right? This is where people who are on this side of that fence vent and express like dismay and anger and everything else. So if you're on the other side of the fence, come back later. This isn't your room right now. If you come back later, we can have the discussions that you want to have. But right now, people are not going to be nice about it. So, and that's where
salty.
Yeah,
the big key, yeah, and I think that was my first big take, was just for the people that are out there and are still on social media and whatever, do what you need to do for your mental health, but don't let them turn you into them.
Right.
Okay. There's no need to descend into complete inanity, out of our emotional response. I know that
is the Republican Party.
Right.
Exactly. So, and predominantly, and while this may be kind of this may turn into a bit of a vent session like this, like I said, there's blame to go all around. My ideas on this, and I brought this up when Jefferson was doing his show. I brought it up in a comment on his live stream, and there have been a couple other creators that have echoed my thoughts on this. One of them being Rationality Rules, Stephen Woodford, and because he released a video that kind of touched on this, and he saw kind of the same things that I saw, even from he's across the pond and he was watching this happen. He was a guy that voted for Brexit, and then realized like a couple years after, it was like, whoops, And I see that happening now already. There was a friend I had who lives in Pennsylvania, her husband works for a smallish manufacturing company, and I don't want to name names or like that, but we keep in contact via Facebook, and so she reported that her husband came home rather depressed because on the 7th, because I thought it was on the 7th or the 6th, but apparently the CEO of the company canceled all their annual bonuses. And they were like, wait, what? Like, why?
Right before the holidays?
And like right before the holidays, canceled all their bonuses. And so when that came out, obviously there was massive pushback from the workforce. And so the CEO came in, did a big kind of like, come to Jesus meeting, and explained to them that with the Trump victory and with the looming tariffs that have been proposed in the certain sectors that those are being proposed in, the company had to make the decision: either we pay the money out now, and then we have the tariffs hit, and then we find ourselves in a bind in trying to acquire materials in order to keep the work going, so that we can keep people employed. And so the very difficult choice had to be made to sacrifice bonuses in order to buy materials in bulk as fast as they could, at least for a year in advance, a year's worth of materials in advance before the tariffs hit, in order to salvage those prices, in order to keep those prices there. And so in order to keep the business open and solvent, they had to make a choice. The money has to come from somewhere. Something has to give. It's basic economics.
Unlike Trump, who can just print money.
And the workforce apparently didn't understand this. And so the CEO had to have a big sit-down meeting where he explained how tariffs work.
We're also due for a very big recession.
Said, this is how it works. This is where the money flows. This is where it comes from, and worked through it. And by the end of it, apparently, according to her husband's reports, everyone in that room, kind of like took a hit. So Jefferson, if it got reported, so this came from a friend of mine on Facebook that I'm familiar with through the industry that I work in. So that's where I'm reporting. I don't want to drop her name because I don't want to flooded with bullshit. But nonetheless, there's going to be some fallout. Hell, even Elon Musk said that there's going to be hard times, ahead.
We're due for a very big recession.
Yeah.
Like a very big, very long recession. And I think that's the only thing that's going to be able to switch the parties at this point is another, like COVID style something catastrophic, that because the electorate is schizophrenic a little bit.
So Aaron Reese says, but there's also a risk that can result from normalizing actions like this. If we just say, well, you just made a mistake, then we risk making actions like this seem okay. There's so much to touch on here. One thing that's really fucking aggravating me are all the people who I know have the best intentions. Like, can we not see past this? Can we not still work together? Can we not live in harmony? Can't we all just get along? Everybody, a lot of people out there doing their best Rodney King impersonations, and not this time. Unfortunately, and for anybody who was on that side, I'm not trying to throw you under the bus. And for anybody who has expressed that can't we all just continue to work together? Can we not live peacefully and move forward? I get the sentiment. I absolutely do. We don't want political violence. We don't want people in an uprising. I don't want to see a fucking civil war. I live in an arterial red state. Believe me, I don't want to be in the middle of that shit. Okay, I'm fucking too old and I'm too fucking tired.
I also don't want to live in a Christian nationalist, authoritarian dictatorship. But
at this point right now, the brakes are off. Okay, there is no middle ground when it comes to people's civil rights. There is no middle ground when it comes to people being legally able to live their lives and be who they are.
Right.
There is
and for everybody to be a good moral agent.
There is no middle ground on this.
There's no middle ground on this.
If you voted against ostensibly my rights and the rights of other people, the rights of people that I love, if you voted against those rights, Hell, and I'm just going to flat out say it. If you voted for rape because he is an adjudicated
Found liable for sexual assault. Yes, exactly.
rapist in that respect, if you voted for that, and I'm echoing the words of other people like Arden and Matt Dillahunty and a number of other people that were over on the line, you are not safe to be around.
Agreed.
If I don't, the felonies are one thing. Okay, the espionage is another.
Well, let's not forget that the felonies were done while his wife had just given birth to, and they had a 4-month-old that she was taking care of, and he was fucking a porn star. So
all of this, I mean, in that respect, you voted for a guy who obviously does not consider the bodily autonomy of other people as something that is sacrosanct. Okay, who does not care that everything is an extension of himself. So. People like that are not safe to be around. You would not be safe around a person like that. You would do best. You do best. You take steps in your life to avoid people like that. You would not leave your children in the care. You would not leave your children in the care of people like that.
Right.
Yet you voted him as president. And the thing that gets me, and I think, like I said, like what Stephen Woodford and probably what I brought up with Jefferson Spatchcock is, this isn't really an ignorance, fear, bigotry, hatred, all this stuff are symptoms of the bigger problem, the greater problem. And the biggest problem of all, and I kind of hinted at this in a previous deal, was this was that the people that voted for Trump, especially if you look at the demographics, the people that voted for him, it was never about putting Trump in office because they think he's going to make the country better.
Right. They don't care about policy.
It's about putting a guy in office who, in their minds, will burn the system down.
To the ground. Exactly.
It is anger. It is disenfranchisement. It is people pissed off because people in the upper echelons of power are making decisions about their lives and decisions about what they do when they don't know them and they don't even live in their states and have like people disconnected from reality. That's one of the biggest problems I see with the Democratic National Party.
I've been saying that forever, is that they live in a fundamentally different reality than the rest of us.
The Democrats
I don't know how to bridge that.
The Democrats are so divorced from reality as far as what is going on in daily American lives that they failed to see that. And the GOP
Republicans don't care about that.
They don't care. Like the Democrats are blind, and the conservatives, they don't give a shit.
They're willfully ignorant. Yeah.
So in that respect, I see the rationale. Burn the system to the ground. I myself, once I got past the initial emotional reaction of wanting to put my fist through my monitor, once I got past that, I recognized that, I'm almost of the mind, let them have it. Let them have it. Like my initial posts on social media were very much, they're going to get everything they deserve. Everything this country gets in the next 4 is what they deserve.
Right.
They earned it. They got it.
I'd be okay with that too, but the problem is everybody else is going to get what they deserve. And we're not getting what we deserve. We're getting what those other people deserve.
I understand that. I do. I'm not going to get into, I don't want to get into a whole thing about who all could have done more, what could have been done differently, or could have, would have, should have, and any of that nonsense.
Sure.
I just looking at it as the totality of this country, because we are a representative, we were a representative democracy. That may very well change, but I don't know. There's so many things that could have been done different. I don't even know where to start. I really don't. All I want to focus on, is I understand that people are upset and people do need to vent and get that. But I also want to focus on what potentially can happen, because I shit you not, the battlegrounds have moved from the halls of legislation to the very fucking streets. And we didn't do that.
Right.
The people in power who do not live our lives and do not know us and do not know what's going on, with the things that we deal with, the people with children, the people, in rural states, they pushed it to the streets.
Mm-hmm.
It is now in your homes, and this is the boiling point. This is before the boiling point. The temperature is rising.
Frogs.
We're in that moment. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple of months. I don't know. But January, you need to be prepared for the things that can happen.
Mm-hmm.
I lube, because we're about to get fucked.
Yes, Pludhole, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. Says Texas State University, San Marcos. See that story? I absolutely did. That was some Westboro shit or Westboro inspired shit that came out there. You got, it's. I'm not gonna. The idea that your body, my choice, has become a trending hashtag.
Mm-hmm.
It's disgusting.
Okay.
It honestly makes me ill.
So it's starting. There's already been people here in my neighborhood where I live. There's already been reports of people having their their Harris wall signs stolen or vandalized. I think one of them was set on fire in their yard. Someone tried to scrape the Harris wall sticker off my car. I don't know where it was. It was either in my driveway or was when I was at the gas station and I was inside paying for gas, but I don't know. Someone already tried to rip it off my car. I have gotten looks at the gas station. And not the normal looks because, when I walk around, some people it was either the beard or something like that, but they see the car, they see my car, they see that very small little sticker that's like literally this big because it was a free one and I took it for free, but it was like a little sticker this big. And the looks I get are the looks that I would get in high school from people that wanted to fight me.
Wow. I was telling a friend of mine that I picked a hell of a time to shave my head.
So
I'm going to get the leftist lesbian bitch for the next several years, I'm sure.
So before we go further, let me jump on this real quick.
I'm waiting for it.
PC Tony for 5 Australian says, okay, maybe he's a convicted sex offender, racist, felon, and fraud, but what's the alternative? Voting for a woman? I have no doubt that misogyny and sexism played a role in this as well. I don't doubt that for a second. Like I said, another symptom, and racism, another symptom of the problem. A symptom of the problem. These are things that just kind of came out. I think the overall problem is a disenfranchised nation, pissed off at the people that are leading it, who seem completely divorced from reality when it comes to dealing with the problems that everyday people face. And people have been driven to the point, the majority of people have been driven to the point of desperation where they do not care about the next 5 years. They don't care about the next 2 years. They care about whether or not they can make fucking rent at the end of the month or they can feed their families. When people are making decisions like that, they do not give a shit about what you're promising about starting future businesses or buying your first home. They're trying to pay for the one that they're in,
credits,
or they're trying to pay for their fucking apartment. Okay? Yeah. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not going to say the economy. I understand why it's where it's at. Okay? I get why we're where
the economy was a big contributor.
Economy was a contributor. Immigration was a contributor.
But what drives me insane is that when you're talking with these people, they don't give a shit about facts. And so you say something like, Republicans always, every time. I do not understand why anybody thinks that the Republicans are the fiscally conservative party. I do not understand it, because every single time a Republican gets in office, they royally fuck the economy. A Democrat comes in, fixes everything, but it looks kind of ugly, and so everybody's unhappy. And then they get everything stabilized, and then another Republican comes in and fucks it all over again, but then gets to ride high on the policies that the Democrats put in. So they look good. Right. And then they fuck in the meantime, they fuck the economy again. And then another Democrat comes in, has to fix their mess. And it's a cycle that just keeps going over and over and over again. And for people to not see how that works, James and I were having a conversation with somebody earlier today that was pretending to be like playing sort of devil's advocate and was asking us, as somebody who feels like a, sort of disillusioned Democrat who is a, male cis het white poor guy, like, what does the Democratic Party offer me? And it suddenly occurred to me that this person that I'm talking to wants me to do all the work. They want me to come, and that's what Democrats have been going through now, through this whole cycle, is that we keep wanting to bridge the divide and offer concessions and offer solutions and offer compromises where the Republicans are willing to give none. And they are also unwilling or unable to accept factual information from credible sources. Anything that doesn't go against that goes against their narrative is part of the conspiracy, and everything that fits inside of their conspiracy was all because of Trump and not because of Biden. So you can't reason with these people. And it dawned on me that this person that I was talking to was yet another bad faith actor who is refusing, essentially, who's asking me to engage, but then refusing to give anything in response. And I found that over and over and over again through, I like to go on Discord when I'm feeling spicy and fight with the I have to get it out somehow, or else I, get ornery with people. And so it's like my therapy. So I get on and go and sling mud with the Republicans in Discord. And the problem over and over again is that these people do not care about facts. And so the Democrats, I was seeing it all over the internet, were trying to get people to understand and to spit facts and have these people grasp this information, like what tariffs are, and like, these basic concepts. They fundamentally don't care. And this person kept asking me for policies, and I'm like, you don't care about policies, you're full of shit, because you don't care about facts, and you don't have empathy you don't care about policies because you don't have any empathy for policies that may not concern you directly. The selfishness and moral bankruptcy of the Republican Party is going to kill this country. And I'm like you were saying, they want to watch it burn. And I feel like I'm trying to put out their bonfires with, peeing on it downwind. Like it's completely useless. And so when I wanted to get this stream together, I was going through, the initial stages of grief as well. But then because I move, my emotions tend to move very quickly from, I go for like a couple of hours of holy shit, what the fuck just happened, to, okay, now I'm mad, what do we do about it? And I'm still having when I then try to engage with people now after the fact and trying to get to where I can understand what it is that they want from us as the left or what have you, it just becomes very clear to me that these are people that live in a fundamentally different reality than we do. They do not appreciate democracy. They want an authoritarian dictatorship. They are fascists. And how exactly are we meant to reason with that? Right. When I personally will not compromise, I need to be able to go to sleep at night, and I cannot go to sleep at night knowing that I voted for an adulterous, rapist, lying con man who can't string a sentence together, who's shockingly stupid and hateful besides. Like, I can't do that. And the fact that Republicans are willing to do that, I can't empathize with it. I'm having a really hard time. Like, part of my brain really wants to say, okay, tell me what it is that you needed to hear. But at the same time going, you just voted for somebody who is morally corrupt, who is a fundamentally awful human being, and you're okay with that. And I don't want to engage, like you were saying earlier, I don't feel safe with these people. And so I don't know how, and this is why I wanted to be on your channel specifically, because I don't know how to bridge that divide when we keep building bridges and they keep blowing them up.
It seems almost anathema, because I know my channel is Bridge the Divide. And again, and for anybody wondering, or if the questions pop into your mind, this channel is not going political. I know that I have covered some big political moments in the country just to talk about these things. But I usually talk about them as an extension of talking about the advent of Christian nationalism. As how Christian nationalism is informing
we're about
shit.
to experience that too.
And so, but I will remain. I don't really cover political content. I mean, I'm not. I don't feel it's not the arena that I want to operate in. It just
no,
isn't.
This is a moment in time that I think that everybody with a public face needs to address. Who gives a shit? Anybody that cares needs to at least acknowledge that like, things are about to get really ugly, and I don't think it's hyperbolic. I don't think that what I'm saying is hyperbolic, and I think that anybody who is responsible with a public platform, because Christian nationalism is a huge part of this. They want to create a theocracy in this country. They want to mandate Bibles in schools. They want to put in policies that will make a lot of your audience second-class citizens. And I think that that's something, even though it's, obviously not the focus of your channel. I think everybody kind of knows that.
Yeah.
But
I had some people express as like, "Wait, are you going political? Like, are you going to be doing political?" I was like, "No, not going to political commentary."
This was me hijacking.
Yeah, I'll still be like responding to and talking to,
right.
Bad,
as you should, because we're about to experience a whole fucking ton of that shit.
It's coming. It's coming down. It's coming down the pipe.
Days, my friend.
It's coming down the pipe. It's going to hit the septic tank like a fucking nuclear missile. I guarantee you that. Me says, I got to go. Everyone, good luck. Chin up and keep fighting. Never let them change you. Absolutely. Thank you so much, and thanks so much for popping by. Just real quick, Second Best Bob has gifted 10 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Second Best Bob. You Hooligan has been a member of the Godless Army for 3 months. Thank you so much, You Hooligan. Justin, thank you. Appreciate that. Angel Gamer has been a member for 1 month. Thank you so much, Angel. Appreciate that. And You Hooligan has gifted 5 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Y'all enjoy your new emojis. I work hard on those emojis, and I have some fun ones that are in
lovely.
there.
Love those emojis.
So a couple of things, or actually not really a couple of things. There's a few things that I've compiled. So, and I sent out an invite as well to a good friend of mine, Jefferson Spatchcock. He might want to pop up here as well if he's able to provide some commentary on these. But your thoughts on these, James and Earl, your thoughts on these would be really interesting. But going down a list is like, the idea is like, what can we expect? What could potentially happen? I'm not making actually, I have made one prediction. I have made one. And that is because it's November. Okay. What's November known for? It's Turkey Day, right? Fuck no. Black Friday, man. That's what it's about.
Capitalism.
Capitalism,
it's most
dude.
Violent.
It's about Black Friday. November hits. It's waiting the Friday after Thanksgiving to get that big screen TV for closer to its actual MSRP instead of the inflated shit that the retailers sell it for. So I predicted that despite everybody bitching about groceries and gas and whatever, there will be record sales. There will be record sales this Black Friday.
People have more spending money now than they did under Trump.
So I'm saying that there will be record sales on Black Friday, despite people, pissing and moaning about the price of gas and the price. Do you honestly think that that it's automatically going to fix itself like within less than a month of him winning the election? You think by Black Friday,
the president has anything to do with gas prices?
It's not going to alter. So if there are record sales, if there are record profits and record sales this Black Friday, that tells me one thing: that the gas and the eggs and the whatever that we're all bullshit. So I'm waiting to see if that comes true. If all of a sudden we have like the lowest turnout Black Friday ever, nobody made any money, and it was like this, or even Cyber Monday as well. If there's record fucking sales there, your arguments about gas and groceries like this were bullshit. Yeah. You know why I know that?
I no longer care.
You know how I suspect they're bullshit? Because I'm living in the same fucking country, and it hasn't affected me. I can still go and get everything I need. Yes, prices are up. Mm-hmm. But guess what? When prices go up on goods, all the stuff that you want, you need to tamper down on that until it evens
wages
out.
Are up.
This is called responsible spending. It's shocking when things go up that you need, the things that you want go down. And when the things that you need go down, you have the money to get the things you want. Isn't that amazing how that works? So nonetheless, a couple of things.
Economic literacy is not strong among the electorate at all, so, as very much evidenced by the fact that China doesn't pay tariffs. China doesn't pay our tariffs.
Jefferson Spatchcock heard the word list, and he was like, I'm fucking there, man. There. I want to hear lists.
Yeah.
Give me stats.
That's all I do is make lists. This is an endless. I have these notebooks everywhere. I have lists of lists. It's yeah.
All right. So James Earl, my hot buttery bowl of Jeffy Pop. It's never going away, man. It's never going away. So I got a list here that I've compiled across multiple sources. So let's just go down. First on the list, 6 months of Trump tariffs will proceed to depress and possibly tank the economy and explode inflation as everyday items rise an average of 20 to 50% in costs.
Are you asking us if we think that's going to happen?
Yes, just your thoughts on that. So, James, what are your thoughts?
I think that he's got enough people in his circle that are kind of nudging him to not do it, that there's a 50-50 chance that he won't. If he does do it, all the economists who matter are agreeing, yeah, we're in trouble. But I'm not convinced that he will.
Earl, I feel like I'm in crossfire.
I feel like Trump will do whatever because Trump is kind of a puppet, because he's a Muppet. He's legitimately a puppet. So whoever
the Heritage Foundation squarely up his ass.
Exactly. With that goofy hair, he cannot not be a Muppet. Although that is insulting to Muppets, so maybe I'll retract that. Anyway, so I think that Trump will. Because Trump is an idiot. I mean, let's be honest. The man is not smart. He heavily relies on the people that are around him to manipulate him in such a way that he thinks that he came up with the idea. So as long as his ego is soothed and he thinks that he came up with it, he'll be on board with it. So as long as there is somebody in his orbit that still thinks that tariffs are a good thing that China will pay for, he'll still go with it. If somebody doesn't offer another solution, that then Trump can believe that he came up with and think that is brilliant, then we're fucked. So it really just depends on who he has in his cabinet, because Trump himself doesn't have ideas. He just it's verbal diarrhea. It's just, it goes straight from like synapse to mouth. There's no little gatekeeper there that can filter any of the things that he says. That's why he's so unhinged. So it's going to depend very heavily on who's around him.
Spatchy.
Yeah, I was talking to my brother about this, and I think he's going to try. I think he's going to make a push, make his own case for the tariffs. And he's got a halfway decent argument. He's going to make the argument that it was a political, it was a campaign promise, and he's got to make good. The Retail Association came out, or whatever they call themselves, and they said it's a terrible idea. And we all know what Marxist-Leninists those people all are. So yeah, I think it's going to get some pushback if he manages to get some through. I think there might be some kind of like compromise deal where he gets maybe gets to target a couple shithole countries, the ones he dislikes. He targets them specifically, and that does something. I think that that's the equivalent of doing a handstand in politics. If he got what he's actually been promising on the campaign trail, where he just imposes one, and he said all sorts of numbers, 40%, 100%, 200% on foreign goods.
1,000%, I heard at one point.
Yeah, without really even understanding, like, this is a massive hoovering of private money into government coffers with no plans to actually turn that revenue into anything that would remotely affect the common good. In order to maybe backstop massive tax cuts for the wealthy. I mean, I can see him doing something similar to this. If the worst case scenario is he gets what he wants from his campaign, if he does that, I would expect to see, I don't know about price increases, but I would expect to see negative reactions even from financial markets by the end of Q2 and Q3 of next year. You start seeing that shakeup. They're already talking about that. There was a report today. Wall Street is kind of nervous, a little anxious about whether or not he's really serious about doing that and to what extent. If he does some half-assed one where he only targets, like, say, South Korea nominally or something like that, then it's not really going to do anything except keep refrigerators expensive, and Samsung and LG TVs will go, the price will go up higher. But yeah, it's I don't think he doesn't want anybody to talk him out of it, because he made a big deal out of it in the campaign. Right. He's going to want to deliver on it somehow. And a half-assed measure, what we've seen from this guy, he doesn't like that. Also, he did this back in 2016, and it was super easy for him to do, and he was so proud of himself. So he's going to need to get off. And this is an easy way for him to get off.
He bail out all the farmers, But
exactly.
Nobody talks about that part.
Yeah, nobody. Yeah, and I remember, a lot of conservatives seem to forget. Like, do you remember when we had to bail out the soy and corn farmers?
Yeah,
and he's
$28 billion.
Yeah, because he ruined that. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. The real question, I think, and I've been going on for too long, so I apologize, but to what degree do you think this will actually stick to him? Like, if they pass and they're bad, yeah, I have a feeling. I have a feeling if they start going bad, because I remember the narrative coming out of like right wing circles with the ag bailout, it was Congress's fault.
Oh yeah. Trump is simultaneously able to take responsibility for all the good things that Democrats do, while also saying that everything that he did isn't his fault; it's all the Democrats.
Exactly.
Yeah,
every time.
It came up in my feed. There was a new video from Legal Eagles, one of my favorite channels. I love Devin over there. It was a video that was like, what do we expect going forward from the Trump cases? And he literally opened it up with, for all intents and purposes, they're pretty much dead. And then he went on to explain why they are. But I was like, okay, I don't need to see any more, because that's pretty much it. They're dead. They're dead. They're gone. I mean,
there is one point of contention on that. There is something kind of clever about that, right? So if they didn't wind him back, right? Like they've been adjourning in rapid succession. Jack Smith has been too. I think that's kind of interesting because I kind of think that they're trying to manage him in a way. If they kind of slip into an adjournment and they just kind of go away, they get put on pause. I kind of actually think that they're trying to sneak this past him. Like he'll forget to pardon himself. And then, because if all they do is adjourn and wait, they can bring this up later. If he pardons himself, it's going to get weird. The other thing that's weird about it, too, is that for the purposes of like state enforcement against him after he's no longer president, when he pardons himself, the pardon power specifically states that when a president pardons an individual, it is an admission of guilt of the crime that he pardoned them for. So he's admitting to be guilty of that, which means that could expose him to state level liability. I mean, obviously, the feds can't touch him, but state level liability increases. So
that argument,
either way, he's walking a tightrope here. So yeah, that'll be fun to watch too.
All right, second thing on the list: Ukraine gets cut off completely from aid and eventually falls to Russia. James,
I mean, that seems inevitable, and I feel extra bad for Ukraine because my perception is that it's a proxy war, that we're waging war with Russia through Ukraine, taking none of the risks. It's not our soldiers dying, right? And we're testing our toys out. We're funding the industrial military complex. The people that are politicians in both sides of the political arena are cashing in because they own stock in those companies that make the weapons of the war. And so now what's going to happen is Trump's just going to hand Ukraine over to Russia one way or another.
Right. Earl.
Yeah, I agree with that. The Republicans have been fighting tooth and nail to fund anything about Ukraine. Mostly what we're giving them is our old shit. We've not given them a whole heap of money, yet Republicans keep saying, like, we've given them so many billions of dollars. It's like, no, we've given them billions of dollars worth of our old hand-me-downs. Like, it's because, and then we get new fancy things. So like, it's kind of a win-win for us. But I think that the bill for the border that just went through had a lot of things about Ukraine in there, and that was a part of why it got shot down. They have no interest in protecting any democratic institution, including their own.
And Gazpacho.
Is that me?
Yeah. I'm just giving out interesting ways to say spatch. Yeah, it's pretty much it.
We'll just use other culinary terms. Yeah, I would push back a little bit. James' comment about it being kind of a proxy war. I don't think that it is. I really do think that it kind of took, because I think it's an unfortunate thing for the U.S. to have to deal with. The weird thing about it is that there's a lot of Russian stuff coming out that wants to paint it that way, that this is a way for the U.S. to kind of like fight Russia in this way. I don't know that it really wants to. And most of the aid that we've given them in terms of military equipment has basically been old surplus, like a lot of the stuff that's come out of Europe has been. So I don't think that this is sort of the, kind of the boondoggle that it could be for defense contractors. If we started giving them like fresh, new, high-tech stuff, I think at that point Putin would probably declare war on us.
Yeah, that's a fair point that they're not getting our newest and best stuff for sure, and so it's not quite the surplus or the boon that you would that they'd be looking at for the complex. But at the same time, I don't know, man. It's certainly in our interests to undermine Russia, and I've always wondered why NATO refused to embrace them. And I heard the talking points, but I always felt like there was more going on behind the scenes than what we were seeing.
I don't know that NATO refused to embrace them. I've always heard that there's been kind of a block from Russia embracing NATO. They don't want to become part of the bloc. They want to maintain independence, and they don't want to become part of some kind of joint defense pact. But who knows? I do think that Trump will he'll play hardball with both of them. I think he's going to try to come up with a way. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but there's been this weird thing that happened in this particular election where a lot of conservatives were really, really, really upset, super triggered that the United States spent $100 billion, sent $100 billion as an aid pack over to Ukraine. And to hear them talk about this, and these are conservatives, after spending a decade and a half cheerleading 2 failed wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, where our guys were actually dying, $100 billion aid package goes over to Ukraine, and they're acting like we've committed ourselves to another Vietnam. It's absolutely astounding. It's like $100 billion in terms of like our, collective treasure is virtually nothing. It's a little weird, and we have no soldiers really with any skin in the game over there. We've sent some old equipment over there that might get blown up later. It's been kind of odd. Trump has been promising that he can get this whole thing settled. If he tries to negotiate with it, the only way that he's going to be able to get it settled is for Ukraine to cede even more territory to Russia, which will, if that happens, would only halt hostilities. As long as Putin's in power, he will try again until he has all of Ukraine.
Mm-hmm.
And if Zelensky gives into that, Zelensky's will be done. Like that's it for him politically. He's done.
Well, he'll be murdered. I mean, there's no question about that.
Murdered, banished, escaped. Mm-hmm. Yeah, something like that. Yep.
Yeah, he'll try to escape, and then his plane will, mysteriously get shot down.
They will find him in the trunk of a car, legs and arms broken, ruled natural causes. Yep, KGB.
Absolutely. Yep.
Daniel Cooper brings up Bridge the Divide. Did you see Destiny and Brian Tyler Cohen talking about Biden rushing a bunch of weaponry in his last 3 months to Ukraine before Trump gets into office?
I watched that earlier today. Yeah. I watched that earlier today. They made several really good points.
And it's wild because given what the Supreme Court did, with the whole presidential powers, immunity bullshit, and all that shit that went through, wouldn't it be crazy if Biden actually took that full force and was like, well, we see what happened. Of course, that would just be fucking insanity and would just send us into absolute chaos if that were to take place.
All of a sudden, they get America's newest prototype stealth tank and its newest jet fighter. Like, where did those go? And Biden's like, yeah, see you, folks.
I really hope that he has an arc where he leans into the cognitive decline and he's just doing all this shit. He's like, I don't remember any of that. I did that.
You get a car, and you get a car, and you get a car.
Do you remember misplacing an entire battalion of
I want him to go into his Dark Brandon arc so bad. Yeah. I want to see him just making it rain. Mr.
President, what happened to the tanks? I don't know. I
don't know.
They're in Poland en route to Kyiv. Yeah, those are the newest ones we've got. Are those the ones with the laser beams?
As he stands there with that shit-eating grin behind sunglasses with a melting ice cream cone in his hand.
Yeah. Peace in Europe, folks. You beautiful bastard.
Peace in our time.
Yeah.
Third.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but I think you're probably going to get into that. Well, it's going to be about things, shenanigans that he can get up to until he leaves.
Number 3, we pull out of NATO.
Ooh.
James.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
I mean, Trump's always been saying that, so it's hard to imagine him changing his mind.
Right. Earl?
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Spatchcock?
No doubt about that.
I don't know about that. I don't know. That's a good one. I haven't really thought about that. He's talked about it. He's complained about it. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on that. But I wouldn't bet against it either. I'm ambivalent right now.
It's kind of like I don't, but I was like I don't see how they could. But they honestly, it's like, all right. Number 4, Trump allows Bibi to carpet bomb Gaza and turns it into a parking lot for Jared Kushner high-rises.
Oh my God, that's oddly specific there, Jay.
Okay, so I think the idea behind this one is that the situation in Gaza is already untenable, and that Trump in power will essentially give full force to Netanyahu and whatever he plans on doing, and completely disavow the Palestinian people and their arguments and whatever's going on, and probably dump whatever Israel needs and whatever they need into their coffers so that they can pretty much obliterate the whole area. Therefore, pushing everybody out and allowing Israel to do that, he will then be able to facilitate further deals in that area for himself or his family or the name or whatever to enrich himself in that. So
he's not going to pass him the chance to monopolize on the situation for sure.
It's transactional. I help you take out your enemies, and then I will have a vested interest in the area that you will now be moving into when you expand. And so I think the idea is there when you annex that, when I facilitate your ability to annex Gaza, then I can have a vested interest in that as far as like development and building and whatever. And so he gets to expand his enrichment prospects in the future. I think is what's the Jared Kushner high rises is funny, but I think the idea is that, he'll facilitate that. So James, what do you think about that?
That sounds very plausible to me. Now, Leo points out, it's funny how so many leftists, hold on, scrolling back up, refuse to vote for Kamala because of her positions on the Gaza genocide, but are totally okay with Trump making it worse.
And wow, thank you, Leo Filius. Leo Filius is one of my favorite content creators. I love his debates. So Leo, thank you so much for being here, dude. It's an honor to have you here. So, and yes, I agree with that. It's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling is what it is. So Earl, what do you think? Leo Filius. I said Leo Filius, didn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Leo Filius.
I think I got it wrong.
Oh, so Earl, what do you think? Jared Kushner high rises?
I go against the grain a little bit on this issue, so I don't know if I'm maybe the best one to weigh in. I think that, well, this is highly speculative, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think that part of the reason why Hamas attacked was thinking that, because they have to know that the U.S. is an ally of Israel and have been since its inception, and all of that jazz. So they have to know that was going to happen. But I think that they underestimated how hard a Democrat would actually go into, to help Israel. And so I think they're kicking themselves a little bit because they know that Republicans are, they've been on that Zionist kick for ages, because they want to get all the Jews out of here and because they're Christian nationalists. So it all ties together. But I think that is very possible, because Trump doesn't do anything that isn't in his own best interests. So he's made billions of dollars in various business things that he's done, various schemes while he was president, which is not legal, but nobody forced him to put his shit in a trust and do all that kind of stuff, so he didn't do any of that. So it's very possible that he will send his little son-in-law to go do his bidding. But do I think that Israel will continue to bomb the shit out of Palestinians? Yes. Trying to think of how to word this. I think that Hamas will probably, knowing that Trump is coming in, I think that Hamas will probably chill the fuck out, release the hostages, knowing that Trump is coming into power and that they are about to be absolutely fucking demolished and sink back into the recesses and their little tunnels from which they came. And it'll, then Israel will just sort of piddle like they normally do, slowly taking land and all of that kind of bullshit, and it'll just kind of fizzle out and become sort of a non-issue that nobody thinks about again until the next time that things blow up. That's
Gotcha.
honestly what I think.
And have a good night, Plot Hole. Thanks so much for coming by. Jefferson, Jared Kushner high rises.
It's going to depend on Ivanka, and I don't think she'll want him to go near it. She really hasn't emerged yet. And you know, he's on record, you know, for saying that, which he took a little bit of flack for during the. I would like to think that they would try to couch this in something sneaky, where they're, you know, part of a group that's part of a group that's part of a group that's part of a, you know, hedge fund that owns, you know, shares in the property development that's going to go on there. I could see her doing something like that. But I could also see them being really overt about it. So I think that that decision is going to depend on her and whether or not she wants that image chasing her around.
I'm sorry. I just had the same reaction that I had the last time I saw my ex-husband in person. Like,
I just want to point out that's not the real Donald Trump, because I know from Randy Rainbow that Donald J. Trump stands for Jessica. So.
sorry to interrupt you, but like I'm panicking, and I know it's not real, but
yeah, it's not real. I just thought it was like, you know, if Donald Trump actually came into my stream of like 53 people, it was like, well, like, you know, however it goes, yeah, it's like, you caught me.
Is that Peter DeTucker?
It might be. Raven,
yeah,
let's see what happens. So. That's such a weird account. Likely, it's the first time I've ever seen it, but either way. Next big one. Severe cuts to Social Security and Medicare will happen. ACA will be repealed, leaving potentially 30 million people without health care. James.
I think those people are in danger, but not in the immediate, absolute, complete way that suggests. I think he'll chip away at it, and I think he'll take his time doing it. I couldn't even begin to anticipate or predict exactly what that progression will look like. I just don't know. It's completely up in the air as far as I can tell.
Right. Earl?
Sorry, dealing with a weenie in the chat. Yeah. I don't think that there's any chance that the ACA is going to get repealed. It's been tried many times, and I don't, you know, there were a couple of holdouts, you know, what was that, John McCain, you know, but I don't think that, you know, it's been litigated in the courts. The Supreme Court has dealt with it. Like and Trump tried the last time to put in a new healthcare system, and it was going to bankrupt millions of people, and they were like, oh, maybe this isn't such a good idea. So they're obviously not good at you know, making something happen, but there was no way that it was rejected by a lot of Republicans. You know, it's like there was no way that it was going to pass. So I think that the ACA is safe.
And Jefferson?
Yeah, I don't think that they could come up with weird ways to kind of screw with it, but I don't know that they're going to actually try to go for an appeal or repeal of it. Nor do
Trump
I think
is now taking accountability for the pre-existing conditions and all that kind of shit. Like there's really good shit in there that he's like trying to say that it was all his idea, like the $35 insulin and all that kind of shit. It's like he's not going to be able to. He's going to twist it to make it look like his own thing, but
it was a Republican plan all along.
Right.
The Social Security thing too. They're not going to do that unless, because Republicans always run with a 1-2 punch, right? First term, cut taxes, cut regulations, juke the stock market, right? Let's excite the economy, see if you can get things going. And usually what they end up doing is they don't reduce spending, they just decrease taxes by quite a bit.
Right.
Then in the second term, if they get a second term, I remember George W. Bush doing this. He's like, well, I got political capital now. The very next thing they do in the second term is discuss entitlement reform, because they basically spent too much money. Now they want to wind it back, and they usually want to balance it by doing cat food commissions for like older people. Like your Social Security is going to be $50 a month or something something stupid like that. In this case, he's in an unusual position because he essentially had to run as a first termer. And his campaign was quite successful in shoving his first term into the amnesia hole. Everybody forgot that he was a known commodity and radically unpopular, but he's running as a change candidate for some fucking reason, and the media let him. And then he gets in there, and so he's going to have to promise tax cuts and big spending. That's why all these places came out and they're like, "Yeah, this is going to blow the deficit way the hell up." Of course it is.
We did that the last time.
That's the Republican thing. But what he's going to try to do is make an argument probably around year 3 to run for a third term.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's on your list.
Probably. So, yeah.
So we'll get to it.
So I honestly think I have
Spoiler
to agree. I have to agree with, and I'm going to agree with y'all and Leah Filius on this, and is that that I don't think that they'll get rid of the ACA. They failed multiple times trying to do it, and it's just not going to happen. With as many people, I think someone mentioned 45 million people on the ACA. There's just no way. There's no fucking way. So, but cuts to SS, Social Security, and Medicare will likely happen, and I think that those will be slow incoming. It's not going to happen
Definitely.
Day
Medicaid's
one, like bam, you're
be,
fucked. Right.
Yeah,
so
they hate poor people, so Medicaid's like that's going to be one of the first things to go.
Slowly but surely. Next one up there was book bans increase, more fundamentalist religion in public schools.
Oh, that's inevitable. I don't see how we're going to avoid that.
Right. Earl?
For sure. We're already seeing it. With Bibles in classrooms, and it's got to be the Trump Bible because that's constitutional.
Dr. Nimrod says, Bridges Divide, I killed her. A real question. Can Trump legally run for a second term and therefore be a 3-term president? Under our current rules, no. Once you've served 2 terms, you cannot serve in that office again. That's the rule. Currently.
22nd Amendment.
Okay, currently that's the rule. And it's one thing that I brought up to Jefferson one time is like with Trump in control of the presidency and the GOP in control of the Senate and the House, and the Supreme Court majority conservative, not to mention with 2 more people leaving probably in the next 4 years, those 2 people will be replaced with Trump appointees, which essentially will make it like a super. Is that a super majority? Is that just like fucking whatever?
Five of them.
Yeah. So
it'll be the same unless they change the rule that allows them to add more justices.
Okay. So at this point,
it would be Alito and Thomas retiring and 2 people taking his place. So it's still going to be a conservative majority, but a super majority would only happen if they change the rule that allows them to increase the number from 9 to whatever they decide to set.
Gotcha. And so the with this, with the whole 6th, being what it is, I would not be surprised if they at least tried to get the ball rolling on a constitutional convention. So I see it as a possibility. I don't know, because getting that ball rolling, as Jefferson pointed out so succinctly, is a very sticky process and is often a shit show when it happens, because you're fucking with the source code of the USA. Is essentially what you're doing. You're fucking with the US source code. And when you do that, you're going to get glitches all over the place. So
that's an excellent analogy. Yeah.
So I don't know, but I would not shock me at all if they try to get the ball rolling on a constitutional convention. And what do you think, Jefferson? Book bans increase, more fundamentalist religion in public schools.
At a federal level, I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know. They will give nods to state efforts for that. I don't know that they would initiate something at a federal level. You know what I mean? Like a federal directive to say, ban these books, check those books. I would think that he might take, in terms of Q&A from the press, he's just going to leave that to the states.
Wasn't there something that Trump, he wanted the language to be changed in something where it only specified, it wasn't like inclusive languaging. It was specifically
he wanted to remove. Yeah, he wanted to remove any kind of gender inclusive language from.
I can't remember what it was. I know he did that, but yeah.
I remember that he gave the CDC a list of words that they weren't allowed to use in their health reports.
Okay, maybe that was it.
Right.
Yeah, I knew he did it somewhere. I couldn't remember where, but yeah, I mean, so that's kind of.
I think there's an overarching military military legislation that he wanted to do that too, but that was all part of the whole banning trans people from armed forces service.
And I completely agree that we will see this. Book bans will increase. Fundamentalist religion will be more prevalent in schools. There will be more states that will be pushing for Bibles in schools and for pushing things like creationism and other shit to being taught in actual classrooms as a potential deal. Right. It won't occur in all states, and the dissolution of the Department of Education at the federal level does not dictate that the states themselves can suddenly not have their own Department of Education. So they're like the federal, I don't know what that will look like, because that's fucking insane when you have like different states with like the result will be states with fundamentally different standards of education as far as it comes to the national workforce. So I don't know what that's going to look like, but states themselves will still have their own departments of education that are handled like for example, here in Oklahoma, we have this caustic piece of shit Ryan Walters, who is currently there, and fully anticipating that he's going to be in charge of education at the federal level because of the shit that he's done to win Trump points, sacrificing Oklahoma's children's education on the altar of political expediency. And so this douchebag, is already trying to do it here, even though the Oklahoma Supreme Court has shut him down numerous times. And even the AG is currently investigating his ass. But in that respect, yeah, it's going to happen. The door has been swung wide for the advent of Christian nationalism to rear its ugly head, and the effects of that, I don't know how that's going to look, but there's going to be problems. So
I would think that because Trump is a Twitter social warrior, if these fights start increasing at the state level,
social.
Truth Social. Well. X might as well merge now. Elon Musk is practically in the cabinet. Yeah. If these state fights over these books fail and they go too left, the woke, the woke libs get their way. I could see Trump and Elon trying to respond to this kind of stuff and putting their thumb on the scale and then initiating something federal. I could absolutely see that. Yeah, but I think it will all be circumstantial. I think initiating it now, they won't worry about it. They're going to let grassroots groups do that, and Christian grassroots groups will definitely try that. If they're not successful, then I think Trump will swoop in to help.
Right. This one, somewhat terrifying, and you mentioned it earlier. Trans individuals will be enshrined legally as second-class citizens. James?
I mean, they won't use those words, but yes.
Right. Earl?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, because, they're only a minuscule part of the population and, just want to exist. So heaven forbid that happens.
And
they're scary, so we need to, their masculinity is so easily
threatened.
Their fifis are so scared of such the dumbest things that all it takes is one trans person to go by and they're like
when 80% when I have no doubt the majority of the time you'll find that kind of prawn on their computers.
No doubt.
So,
do you know
I'm just throwing it out there.
When the RNC was in town, that the rates of what is that gay website? The Tinder? No, is it Tinder?
Grindr.
Grindr. That's Grindr.
Dead Domain. Dead Domain was talking about that. Dead Domain said Grindr was at the RNC. Grindr shut down. It was too much dick. It's so much.
Thou dost protest too much. I think may apply here.
Even Grindr was oh my god, there's just
the rates of gay porn in the Bible Belt are astronomical.
It's one of them. It's one of the most popular categories.
Yeah, if you look at like statistics on like RedTube or whatever that nonsense is, like in the South, man, newborns way up. So yeah, they can't handle it.
Is there a connection to closet cases and psychotic political ideology?
There cannot. I mean, there must be a relationship.
Oh, right.
All of the most psycho people that have come out, that are ranting, raving, and
Nick
calling
Fuentes.
for people to be murdered, all end up with a gay affair somewhere.
Hey, Mr. E-Man, good to see you. And Daniel Cooper says, "Bridge the divide. No kink shaming. LOL. Definitely not. No kink shaming here.
No kink shaming.
Absolutely none. But we will point
out get your bag.
We will point out hypocrisy where it stands.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, come on, dude. I'm not saying correlation is causation, but there seems to be a high correlation between Republicans who are extreme conservatives going for fire and brimstone shit. And interesting things being on
and liking it in the back
homes. I'm just saying.
It would be great to be in a city where the RNC is and you're looking at that app and then you just look around at these guys like, I don't want to kink shame you guys and I'm sex positive and all, but you guys suck a lot of dick. I mean,
it's a lot of
yeah.
That's what it's like. Grindr is just a business. If you look at it, it's just a business. They know what they're doing. They know what they're they know what
target audience.
But they don't care about who's using the app. They just have the app. It's there to make money. But even they are like, holy shit.
Yes.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
The stock price just went up 5 points. It's like,
how many accounts called Ted Cruz is the Zodiac Killer do you think they have to delete every month?
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So, but yes. And one thing I want to reiterate, I want to make really, really important is that trans individuals, the people that your loved ones who are trans, your friends who are trans, the people that you know that are trans will need those safe spaces. They will need those support groups more than ever. Those support systems that enable that we all need our support systems. Every single one of us does. And if we cannot abandon them going forward, look out for your friends because they're going to be going through some shit. And as allies, we go through that shit together. So keep an eye, because it's going to.
But also do not turn into them, and
while not turning into what they want us to turn into.
What we were talking about at the very beginning. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Elizabeth asked,
there's a line we need to walk.
Elizabeth wants a definition on that.
Oh, second-class citizens, individuals whose essentially do not have the rights that your general populace does. So that just by virtue of who they are, of how they've been identified.
Think Black people before the civil rights era.
Exactly. Yes. That they are relegated to second-class citizen status means that they simply do not have access to the rights and privileges that other citizens do. And Earl is correct. Just like prior to the Civil War, the way Black people were treated in this country, they were second-class citizens. So.
Dr. Nemrod,
the civil rights era. I go a little bit further. The civil rights era.
Throughout the Jim Crow era too. Really, right up until sort of 60.
Yeah. We've only had like an actual democracy since what was that, the 60s? So
that's when we had universal suffrage. Yeah.
Raven Dark says, "What surprises me is they haven't changed the name of the J. Edgar Hoover building yet."
Give them a minute. Give them a minute. When those guys when they check
somebody's hiding ladies' shoes under there somewhere.
Yeah, they'll check that out. They'll check that on Wikipedia, and somebody will be like, "Oh, Jesus would not abide. He would not abide."
For sure.
Another one: voter suppression laws will go into overdrive. James,
I think they'll do anything they can to rig the system. He's as much as said so. So, gerrymandering is going to get worse. Voter suppression is going to get worse. Propaganda machines is going to get worse. Everything that can do to manufacture consent in their direction and to make it hard, difficult, or impossible for rivals to have any voting power, they'll do it.
Do you see that as is that a major issue in your state? Not to say what state you're in, but is that something that your state faces?
So I'm in Indiana, so we're a red state over here. So. They don't worry as much about it here, but I've seen some of it, sure.
I know, because I used to live in Texas. I lived in Texas for 30 years, and now Texas is like gerrymandered out the ass and still is running pretty much a damn near 50%. So even there, but nonetheless, I'm in Oklahoma currently, and but I know that a lot of states out there are dealing with that. Earl, what do you think?
I mean, yeah, they've been trying to do it for years and have been slowly and steadily. Yeah, I agree with James that it's they're going to continue to make it worse, and I think that I'm just really happy that I am still, although I'm still a red state, I'm in North Carolina, I still have a Democrat as a governor. We are still one of those weird states that's still, because all of our cities are bright blue, all of them, surrounded by like shark infested red waters. We have these little islands, and so they, although still 40% of our population managed to vote for a black Nazi. How the fuck does that happen? Like that man is insane. But we have gone to court.
But it spends time on the porn sites.
Right. Yes, exactly. Yeah, he's one of those that is on gay porn sites railing against.
He likes the same kind of dicks
being
I
gay,
do.
but he's right. Yeah, while watching trans porn. He's
don't
one of
say
those
railing.
He is one of those psychos. I mean, for real. But anyway, our state has been gerrymandered the fuck out of.
North Carolina is like one of the top.
It's one of the worst.
5.
Yeah, it's one of the absolute worst. Yeah. I remember A&T is a historically black college, and the what do you call it? The line, marking 2 separate districts went right through the campus, right up the middle, to separate the student population, and so that they didn't have a somebody that would represent them. Right, they wouldn't have a unified voting block. They went right up through the campus.
Wow, that's crazy.
Fucking bastards.
That's they call that dilution.
It's so naked. Block. It's so naked here that
they do that. Communities of color, black communities, they do that kind of shit all the time.
Yeah,
right.
And we have Greensboro is my majority black population. I used to live in Greensboro. Absolutely loved it there. It's one of my favorite places to live in all of North Carolina. And they did the shittiest stuff to try to make it so that the people that primarily live there wouldn't be represented, and it just fries my ass. But they will continue. And I think that again, with the "thou dost protest too much," that's they've been claiming that Democrats are doing all of this, voter fraud and all of this shit, while they themselves are about to go and do a whole fuck ton of seriously, if not actually illegal shit, but definitely ethically dubious.
But we'll be able to track it on Grindr.
Very true.
Here they are.
Fair.
Here they are. I see. And
Ted Cruz is on the move.
And Jefferson, what do you think? Voter suppression laws will go into overdrive?
Maybe. I don't know, because voter organization is usually really touchy. The U.S. has really had a hard time with this. I remember years ago they were trying to talk about like a voter ID law, and the idea behind it was they were going to pass a law. They were going to establish a federal ID that was going to kind of replace Social Security numbers, and the way they wanted to do it, it was going to be a more secure number, and it was going to replace a lot of other state level numbers. And it was pretty cool because it could essentially centralize a lot of, all 50 states' data in terms of like your authorization to drive, your authorization to vote, your authorization, whatever. All that stuff is centralized on your national ID card. And it was some kind of great big number as opposed to your Social Security number, which could be, now it's not secure. Every time they've brought it
alphanumeric. Sorry.
Right. Every time it's come up, they've always said, well, the research on it is it's going to cost us more than we want to deal with.
Right.
Because of that, all of this, this is one of those things like, with right wingers, or like conspiracy minded people, like it's so easy to cheat the system when it comes to voting. Oh, voting's not a monolith. All these counties, all these states run them a different way. If Trump wants to do something about that, I think the easiest way for him to do that would be to try to establish some kind of national ID policy with a national voter system. And I don't think they have it in them. I just don't think that they could do it.
What I think is kind of odd is that Republicans don't seem to realize that a lot of old people don't drive. They don't have valid IDs. Why do they need one? They're obviously of age.
And they can't use the internet.
Right. So they're going to be voting in person. They're not going, you know what I mean? They're going to need an ID, and they are historically vote Republican, and they're putting forth these ID laws that are going to kind of screw over a section of their electorate. I just think it's funny.
I'm not sure exactly how they would try it, but generally speaking, anytime if the federal government tries to superimpose some kind of law onto localities, as far as I know, the Constitution establishes that the way that the vote is guided now, it is controlled at the local level. So they essentially have to kind of that might be one of those things they'd have to do with a constitutional convention, or
And before anybody gets their panties in a wad, I didn't mean that all old people vote Republican. It's just that historically that section of the electorate has historically, I'm not saying even currently, but has historically tended to vote more Republican.
And I didn't mean to say that they can't use computers. I know some older people that love to game.
Right. Yes, before anybody gets all kinds of panties in a wad, we're it's that's
So I would point to the gray in my beard. I can afford to be ageist as much as I want.
And I have no idea what my hair color is. So
this one is somewhat terrifying. The DOJ and the IRS will be weaponized to go after political dissent. And I think that this has both federal and local ramifications. And the fear of this, I think, is already being expressed on platforms such as we, because there are people who produce content that are backing off of creating political content because of the fears of what might happen if that stuff is out there, and beginning to scrub it from what they've done prior, and just because they don't want that coming back to haunt them in the event that things go south, which is already, I think, shows that the thermometer, although that the barometer is going in the wrong direction. But the DOJ and the IRS being weaponized to go after political dissent. What do you think, James?
Oh, they already feel like that's happened going in the other direction. Now, I don't agree with them that that's happened to them, but that's one of the talking points. So I can honestly see that happening. I never thought about it before, but yeah, I'd be surprised if it doesn't.
Earl?
Jesus, that's terrifying. I'm still reeling from what you just said. That's terrifying.
And and at the level, because I mean, now I know that the First Amendment protects the rights of the press and like this, but if it is declared that, like, by the president, and the president could do this as an official act or like that however he uses the term misinformation, or if he uses or whatever, or if he defines press in a specific way, then how that can play out. There's a number of ways it could play out. Obviously these are legal fights for the courts, but it's scary because it's possible in that respect. So yeah, I get that.
I think that people forget that the descent to fascism in Nazi Germany did not happen overnight, and there were lots of moves like the ones you were talking about that happened.
Please note for the log, it took 1 hour and 36 minutes to get to Godwin's Law.
Yep.
I mean, I knew it was
actually, that's not true. I already mentioned fascism way at the beginning.
Well, that's just fascism.
I just didn't link the two.
That could be Brazil, that could be Russia, that could be North Korea, but specifically the H man.
I was wondering if one of your questions was leading up to that or not.
I know. I knew we were going to get there eventually. So.
I have been binge watching historical. I mean, I've already sort of had an obsession with World War II. My grandparents came over from Nazi Germany, and so just to try to understand their thought process, because my grandmother went on and on about how they believed in that man, and she was totally on board with it. And at the time, I was horrified. I'm like a little kid, so I couldn't like say the things that I can say now, which is basically like, what the fuck, um, but so trying to understand all that kind of stuff. And I've been binge watching lots of, historical World War II stuff, and the Linkies are terrifying.
Yeah.
Jefferson?
What was the question again? Sorry.
Weaponization of the DOJ and the IRS to go after political dissent.
Yeah, I'm not sure about the IRS, because I think that if he tries to weaponize the IRS in that way, he will freak the hell out of the business community.
Did he already do that? Was it the IRS?
I don't know. I don't know that he did.
He was trying. He was ranting and raving. I forget about interest rates and keeping things. Anyway,
I think he's going to keep it in his back pocket. I think it was his chief of staff. She came out and said that he's not going to use the DOJ to go after his political enemies, but rather to achieve his agenda. And I'm like, well, if going after your political enemies achieves your agenda, then they're one and the same. So it seemed a little bit fucked up. But yeah, I don't know. IRS maybe not. DOJ probably definitely, because that dude has this goofy fixation with having a killer as an attorney and sicking them on people. And I think he wants the attorney general of the United States of America to be that for the office of the presidency. So yes, I think he's going to attempt to do that.
And just to put a cap on what I was saying, the parallels that I see are like when Nazi Germany had all of the communists. They blamed the communists for the burning of the building, and they had them all arrested and removed, and they did it all legally, but they went after they were trying to get rid of those people to install Nazi politicians within the government, and use those means to eliminate those political rivals, to then have those people be elected, and they were duly elected, but elected into essentially their Congress. And so yeah, I think that the parallels are because we've already sort of seen it, although I think that every accusation made by Republicans is a confession. They always seem to be accusing us of the things that they are actively doing, and when they claim that Biden is weaponizing his DOJ to go after Trump for legitimate crimes that he actually did, while then claiming that we're doing the same thing, I think it's because they have full intentions of doing that themselves.
Yeah.
So here's the next thing on this one, and this one's a little bit scarier, and may reframe the question that I just asked you about the DOJ and the IRS. Trump moves forward with terminating individuals that were hired that were brought in on based on merit, and replaces them with the political appointees.
Oh, you're talking about Schedule F.
In order to accomplish Schedule F. Trump enacts Schedule F this time around in order to facilitate the DOJ and the IRS going after political dissent. So what do you think the possibility of that occurring, that we see with Schedule F Schedule F go into effect? James?
To the extent he's able to, he absolutely does want to. So, every time we're going over these questions, I keep thinking, I used to know, at least I used to have some sense of what the guardrails were, the protections that are in place in our government to stop certain things from happening. But now going forward, I'm real cloudy about exactly what protections are really going to be effectively in place.
Especially when they have the House and the Senate. We don't have any
Right.
buffer.
There's no buffer. So it's kind of like, and the people, and now the people around him, immediately around him. I mean, there's the whole phrase: "You serve at the pleasure of the president." In that respect, so the people that he wants to get into keep, and they're smart. There are people that are around him who will tell him these are the key. It's already been plotted out. It's all in Project 2025. You're all aware of it. The key political positions that need to be, or key positions in government that need to be replaced with political appointees in order to facilitate particular actions, and essentially, replace everybody that you need to in the government with flunkies, and those flunkies will facilitate that action. So, Spatchcock, what do you think?
Yeah, I was actually just gonna look this up. The U.S. establish a civil service.
One thing I thought was really funny when they were talking about what they were going to look for people to replace the people they're replacing, is that you can't be a felon and you can't have declared bankruptcy, and there's like a long list of things, and I'm like, you're describing
Doesn't even qualify.
Yeah, crazy.
You're describing the guy. So yeah, generally, I absolutely think that that's going to happen because what do they call that? Schedule F project.
And he tried to do it in his last, in his last administration.
He actually passed it. They just didn't really initiate anything. Yeah, it actually went through.
The last time, the problem last time was that they didn't have anything like solidified. That it was very hodgepodge. They didn't have the people to hire, and so there were thousands of positions that never even got filled during his presidency.
Right.
That's what Project 2025 is a blueprint for his first 100 days. They already have these people on a database, thousands of people that they've already screened. They've already gone through all of the questions. Yeah. They've actually indoctrinated these people. They forced them to go through a schooling program that has them making sure that they're in line with Trump's mindset, which is fucking terrifying. And so they already have all of this ready to go. And that's what was so ineffective about his first term, and why it sort of stumbled a little bit there. They don't have that problem anymore.
Yeah,
and to answer a question, Raven Darkstar, is the head of the FBI, CIA, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and NSA appointed? Not. Yes, those are all of those are appointed. All of those are appointed. So and the head of the FBI, head of the FBI, head of the CIA, Department of Homeland Security, all of that, all political appointees. The head of the head of, and then you look at the FDA, the FDA, the what was it? The FDA, the NIH. And the all appointees as well, and you're looking at RFK Jr. being in charge of that.
Who thinks that vaccines still cause autism? Like, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, he's stupid.
Right.
Worms eat his brain or something.
Yes, yeah. Brain worm,
a worm died trying to eat a portion of his brain. Yeah. So
worm dodged a bullet.
Yeah.
Wait. Do we know why the worm died?
It gave up. It was looking for something, and it got nothing there.
It just couldn't anymore. They gave up the will to live.
I keep eating, but there's no nutrition. It's like drinking seawater. It's just not doing. I'm just hungry.
Like those crazy people that eat air, it's
you know when you want a steak and potatoes meal, but all you've got is marshmallow fluff. That's what I've got here. I'm just gonna die, man.
What was that Pokemon? What was that Pokemon deal? It's like, I need nourishment. All you feed me is puffins. I need meat. For those Pokemon fans out there.
I would say that in that case that I think is actually going to be one of the fastest things that they do. The problem with it that I don't think that a lot of people realize is that the United States had a period where we did not have a civil service, which is essentially all these dipshits are actually promising. They're like, oh, it's going to be so much better. We're going to get rid of the civil service. Like, the civil service was established to allow for the administrative of the bureaucratic state in between administrative shifts. And the reason that they did that was so that not all of those people had to be rehired every 4 years or so. Yeah. It was established in 1871.
Their policies won't go drastically side to side. They can maintain a
and you essentially had a
reasonable
professional
midline.
class of
Right.
And most of these people, they're civil service employees. They're locked into relatively regimented roles, relatively regimented pay schedules. They're doing this work. They're grinding out the basic services of government. They are not the deep state. With the
Right.
rise of Republican paranoia politics, these people started to be turned into something like, well, these people have the ability to like throw things off. Like it would be the equivalent of trying to say somebody like me, I'm a civil servant in my particular area, that I have the ability to like completely overthrow the government by raising too much of a fuss. And if I took you on a tour of my job and I advertised myself that way, you would watch all of my bosses and comrades laugh at me. It's absolutely insane. He will try to do this. The thing that I find hilarious about it, it is unwieldy. Now, the Project 2025 guys are trying to say they've got a database, they've got stacks of folders. We've got folders of women over here.
Folders of women.
Binders
of women.
Yeah, binders of women.
And we'll
He
get
will
you
never
all
live that down.
never. His dog didn't, so and so like they're going to try to say like they can replace 4,000 civil servants or more in the
first 100 days.
In the first 100 days in DC with a bunch of political appointees. These are people who do things like data processing.
Right.
Yeah, they're not going to know the job.
Yeah, they're not going to know the job. They're not going to have any experience. So if you wanted your
supposedly through this schooling thing that they do, they teach them the
that just
skills
teaches them
that
how
they need. Although that doesn't replace
the phone.
That doesn't replace so many years of actually being in the job.
I will throw this sub question out for you guys. Sorry, JL.
No, go for it.
To what extent is everyone's tax return going to be delayed this year?
Well,
if everyone at the IRS is a political appointee and he's got to replace everybody, and
they haven't funded. I think
good.
that they did finally put in. I think Biden did put in some funding for.
It's going to be rat fuckery. Well, I mean, the bill that Biden put forward was going to be over a period of 10 years, and it was in order to facilitate and upgrade not only technology but also workforce in order to facilitate the IRS kind of moving into the modern age. Not just for like
they're still doing shit on paper.
Not just enforcing taxes, but also to go after tax cheats and tax dodges and to do all that shit. It's just behind the times. But that bill has not been fully, is not completed yet. There's still going to be another, I think, like 8 years supposed to be tacked onto that for those monetary injections to go to the IRS. I don't know what's going to happen to that. So who freaking knows at this point? The next thing on this list, you showed the Mehdi Hassan clip where he runs through 30 chapters. So I've seen that Daniel Cooper. I recommend people go check it out. The Hassan clip where he runs through 30 chapters of Project 2025 in 2 minutes. I also strongly recommend that go read Project 2025.
Yeah,
it's not I've
read it.
It's a horror story, so it's a bit of a page turner. But nonetheless, you can check that out. And to give her a little bit of a shout, if you pop over to Chesh's channel, Chesh has been doing a live reading of Project 2025, so you could listen to the whole thing. She's been reading Project 2025 from cover to cover, and I think she's on part 19 now, I think. And so, but she's been reading it straight, so you can hear it for yourself if you want to listen to the audio version. But nonetheless, it's out there. But definitely go check it out. Next thing on this one, a national abortion ban will come first, followed by restricting contraceptive access. James?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
A national abortion ban will come first, followed by restricting contraceptive access.
Ooh. I mean, can they do a national abortion ban? I mean, if they can, then they will. Absolutely. They're going to, however far they can go with that, they will.
Earl?
Trump claims, and he's a lying sack of shit, so I don't know how much I should actually care about this, but he claims that he has no interest in banning abortion. He's been the I am all about IVF candidate, which is just creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
He acts like he invented the shit. Like it's the weirdest. It's the weirdest thing that he's trying to like.
And that we all
himself
need it.
flowers for. Yeah. It's truly bizarre. And then he doesn't want to attack contraception of any kind. So he claims that. And you know,
I wouldn't see why he wouldn't.
that
I wouldn't see why he wouldn't. You know, given how he treats Tiffany.
Yeah.
poor Tiffany. I kind of feel for her, just like a skosh.
Now, I heard a rumor that Trump's
rice
wife,
strains.
who's been missing in action for a long time, she showed up at a recent event. I heard
Melania?
that she, yeah, Melania, that's what her name is. I heard that she
went where Shelley Miscavige went. Sorry, I got to get my stick in and Scientology there. Where's Shelley?
Where's Shelley?
Where's
yeah,
Shelley,
she's dead.
David?
Tell us where Shelley is.
Where's Shelley?
That's fair. But I heard a rumor that Melania is not on board with the abortion banning thing.
I think that's true. And I also think that I don't know if has a president ever gone through divorce while being president?
No, but that would be fun.
That would be.
I agree. My
that would be
Schadenfreude is just like
that's a good
waiting to go.
That's a good month. That's a good month, maybe month and a half of late night talk fodder. So that
They'll turn it into a reality show so he can bank money on
Laura
it.
Loomer. I think this is just let's call it a woman's intuition. I think he's having an affair with Laura Loomer.
Gross.
Well, no,
Gross.
I mean,
sorry.
I think he did, but yeah, she got up on that.
Oh, she got up. I have
Laura. The stains will never come out.
I have zero proof that this is true. This is highly speculation. My opinions are not necessarily those of JL on his channel, but I truly believe, women's intuition speaking only, that he has had an affair with Laura Loomer, and that Melania knows about it, and that's why she's been scarce. And I don't think that Melania is fully on Team Trump.
Well,
That's
after all the dust settles, we'll be looking forward to Melania's tell-all book, because that's a book deal in the works.
That will be a book I will actually. That'll be a Trump book. The only one that I will actually read would be Melania's tell-all.
Melania's tell-all when it's all over. In the
title,
aftermath.
Laura Loomer sucked my husband's cock. Enjoy my new book.
My book. Yeah. So that being said, I don't think that that there will be a national abortion ban, because I don't think that this is actually something that I oddly believe Trump on for some reason. Just the way that he goes on and on about IVF, and the way that he like touts himself as being this like IVF champion. I think that he and so many Republicans have had to walk themselves back because their constituents are so pissed about the abortion laws that they've been trying to enact, and so many states have now ratified abortion into their constitutions, who are red states, so I think that they're sort of seeing the writing on the wall, and that they are, at least the smart ones are smart. The less stupid of the Republican Party is walking back that a little bit and being a little less militant about abortion banning. So I don't think that that's likely.
What do you think, Jefferson? National abortion ban followed by restricting contraceptive access.
Yes, it's not gonna be initiated from the president's office. He's not going to try to push it forward because he doesn't care. However, he could end up getting into a George H.W. Bush read my lips, no new taxes kind of thing. So it's going to kind of depend on whether or not Republicans get the House as well as the Senate. They're not going to have like an overwhelming majority, but if they decide to pass, if they do have a simple majority, They could pass that legislation and pass it on up to Trump, and Trump can try to like play this off as this is the will of the people, this is the will of your like representatives, blah blah blah, and he will sign it. I think that's how it's going to happen. Like I said, he's not going to initiate it. It doesn't have to come from, and it's difficult if that kind of legislation does come from him. But I think a national abortion ban is going to come out of this next Congress or Senate, especially if both of them are majority Republican. They're going to pass it up to him, and I think he will sign off on it. Right. And I think he will use the excuse that he had no choice, even though it probably will be easily vetoable. But I don't know that that's kind of the tricky part. Like it won't be like the read my lips, no new taxes thing, because that tax increase was passed with a 3/4 majority. And so if George H.W. Bush attempted to veto it, that makes him vulnerable for impeachment. Presidents always have to be on the lookout for that. It doesn't look like the majority's Republican power structure that's coming in to the Senate and even to the House, with the House. I don't think it's going to have that kind of weight, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try to like sell it that way. And I think he's amenable to the Christian right trying to get that pushed through. So yes, I think the House or the Senate will attempt it. And if they get it through, he will sign it.
All right. Coming up on the end of this, border cruelty. Will we see an increase in human rights violations at the border, family separations, aggressively, as a part of like the extension of this mass deportation effort that he is promising is going to go into effect day one, in which... And there's another thing coming after this as well. But the mass deportation, do you think that will result in an increase in human rights abuses or human rights violations at the border? James?
I think it's inevitable. I'm not even going to be middle on this. Like, absolutely. There's just no way around it. It's going to happen.
Earl?
Yeah. I am the granddaughter of immigrants who were not quite legal. My grandparents didn't have, my grandfather never had American citizenship, lived here for decades, raised my dad here, built businesses, lived the American dream, and never became a citizen. My grandmother didn't become a citizen until after he was dead. That was the only way that she could, because she was a good little housefrau and, he wouldn't let her. So this issue is, kind of personal, and although I am a white person, so I don't have the, and because the amnesia that Americans seem to have when like the Irish and the Italians and, when they came in and they were treated like shit and, but now they're all just sort of white people and everybody's fine with it. But the way that they were brutalized, back then, I don't think that's going to, I think that history will be repeating itself for sure. And the brutality that these people have experienced at the hands of Republicans is unconscionable. And I think that the Republican Party is inherently racist and is inherently bigoted, and I don't think that they fully realize just how much we need immigrants in this country. Our infrastructure, if they try to deport all of these immigrants, our infrastructure will collapse. There is no way around that. They bolster the thing, and they do the jobs that we take for granted, that make our country run. And I think that they are thinking very short-sightedly. I think that they are fueled by racism. I don't actually think that I think that they're talking about it a whole lot, but when they strike down the border bill, that pretty much shows that they don't really give a shit. It's just racism. That's all it is. It's not that there's a crisis and that they're worried about crime and the made up statistics when it's very clear that immigrants they do crime at far lesser rates than citizens do. They don't seem to understand that like most of the fentanyl comes from China through legal means, and how most of immigration happens by people overstaying their visas. That there isn't this mass wave of people that are just like coming in, with just walking across the border. It's primarily our asylum system is broken, and again, Republicans don't give a shit about facts, so they're just going to continue to do things based on racism, which is always going to be brutal and horrific. So yes,
Daniel Cooper brings up a solid point here. Illegal immigrants pay into the tax system and receive almost none of the rewards. They are a net positive on the economy.
Absolutely.
And if there's a mass deportation, if this goes down like this, these people are deported, you're going to see a massive impact from that. What do you think, Jefferson?
I think they'll do that because I remember, when he last got in, I remember watching in horror at the, the camps they built along the border. They started housing these families and they started separating the kids from the parents, and then couldn't account for where their parents went. They deported the parents. The kids were still here. And then they had all these unaccountable kids and couldn't find their parents. From what I understand, there still are some. There still are some kids where they can't find their parents after they deported them. I mean, that's monstrous. And, here we go again with this dipshit doing this stuff. Everything that is associated with this is one of the key points that I made. We were talking about it last night when I was on my show with Michael and I had my brother on. When you ask Republican voters, yes, Trump-aligned voters about the immigration issue, because they'll be like, I asked Doug this. I was like, give me some reasons why you think. And he gave me categories. He gave me immigration, foreign policy, and lower taxes. And I was like, what the fuck ever. I kicked him out.
Which was epic. It was legendary, by the way. It really was.
Yeah, he made some shorts about it. And he represented himself very differently in the shorts. But the thing that pisses me off about this, like your opinion about this is that Trump will do better than Kamala or anybody else. Cool. That's your opinion. Your reasons behind this are based on delusions. There are 4 factors that happen with immigration. They, when they show up, they commit crimes, they bring drugs, they steal jobs, they cost money in social welfare. All 4 of those are demonstrably and objectively false.
Mm-hmm.
There is there's all evidence is to the contrary. Mm-hmm. So anytime these dickheads try to say like, well, I voted for the guy who was going to fix that problem. The problem was beamed into your brain by a fever-addled moron who got you to think that the problem in your life was somebody with darker skin. That's essentially it. Will they do this? Absolutely. They will absolutely do it. And the abuses will be legendary, especially if that idiot Stephen Miller gets back in there. Smeagol.
Oh, yeah. God, that man makes my skin crawl.
It was just it's just a fucking autocrat telling all these voters that it's the Jews is the problem. I mean, sorry,
he is a neo-Nazi. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Stephen Miller makes my pussy dry, and I don't have one.
Right? Christ, like the Sahara. It's
drier than a cat box.
Just queef and dust.
But yeah, it's an autocrat telling his base that all the Jews are the source of their problems. I mean, the Mexicans are the source of their problems. Do you see an overlap here for anybody watching this who does not understand where we are coming from?
Can I
pointed to a minority and said they are the problem, and you see it time and time and time and time again. Mao did it. Stalin did it. Hitler did it. They do that. Mussolini did it. Okay, fucking Un did it. Okay, that's what they do. They say you have a problem. That's the source of the problem. Be angry at them. When you should be angry at the person.
Don't look at all the shit that we're doing in the background. Just look at
It's like the shit in the fucking. I'm sorry, this is a sore point for me. It's like the shit in the fucking Middle East. I understand that there is bad blood between the Palestinians and the Israelis. I get that. There's a lot of history there. It goes back thousands of years. But you are mad at the wrong people. The whole situation was facilitated by the fucking British because of anti-Semitism in fucking Europe. After World War II, though, they did the whole like anti-Jew thing that didn't vanish
No.
in the wake of Hitler shooting himself.
Denaturalization is a myth.
Okay, that whole thing is like, well, now we've got all these Jews that came into all these other countries, and we don't really want them here. So let's come together and find a place to put them so that they're not here. Okay, it didn't just vanish. So.
That's what the Israeli state is all about.
They're mad at the wrong people. Okay?
I would raise the issue that in that case, that's actually kind of a lingering legacy of white supremacy, right?
Oh yeah,
because of the two groups, they could have just as easily held a grudge against the white colonizers, but they didn't.
That's why Republicans are so gung ho about Israel, is because it's all rooted into white nationalist Christian.
Yeah, and I'm not trying to throw like my friends and like the people like the great citizens of the UK under the bus, or of any of those countries, but the government then at that time was obviously much different than the government it is now. And the government post World War II, obviously you have a country that is trying to rebuild after the horrors that occurred there. And I understand that. But the reality is the situation that is currently existing right now in the Middle East began with those efforts, with those movement efforts of saying we need a place for these people to go because we don't want them here. But that's the quiet part. So let's find a place for them and then act fucking magnanimous while we're doing it without any regard for what's going to happen when we do this.
The fascinating thing was the reason that they gave up, the reason the British gave up the project was because after settling a lot of these Israelis into the area and kind of whipping them into the Zionist frenzy and helping them develop the Zionist propaganda, the Zionists, then they realized, okay, they're going a little too far, and they're going after the Palestinians a bit too much, and so then they stuck themselves in a position of being some kind of like referee between the two, and they were like,
the British Army.
This sucks.
The British Army came in,
and then JL is about to enter his the
flailing guy is like, do you not see?
But then they ended up getting targeted by the Israelis. They settled there. They started shooting British soldiers and killing British officers. It was, and then they're like, hey, Americans, by the way, that post-World War II solution that you're looking for, listen to this.
Oh my God.
It's like, that
was a Back to the Future reference, right?
It was.
Thank you.
It's an ugly scenario, and it's neck deep in the blood of innocence. But the reality of it is, you've got two people who are fighting each other, been at each other's throats for the longest time, and they are at the wrong people's throats. If these people realized, both sides, Israel and Palestine, okay, the people of Palestine, they realized that that they're being played. You're being played. Both of you are being played. Okay? You're being played. You the two of you, like it was pointed out, Exceptionally Average points out, Jews and Palestinians were neighbors before 1948. They were not enemies. Okay? That blood, like that feud,
it was
you didn't even come up with it.
Right.
Well, and that's the thing. The ideology, the Zionism ideology was pumped into the expats and then sent over into that area.
Shit!
Gosh.
Here, have some hatred.
It's fascinating to me how many times we have to like, England, what did you do?
Right.
What did you do?
It reminds. I mean, it's legit. I mean, we saw America do this as well, and not to go like the big deal, but we saw this shit happen in the fucking 80s. In the 80s. Well, actually, I would say post Richard Nixon and all of his the bullshit war on crime and all the other bullshit. CIA agents working overseas were utilized in order to try and basically undermine cartel organizations in South America and Central America, where the vast majority of narcotics at the time were being produced and being imported to the United States as a part of that effort. When those individuals were disavowed, when they became disavowed, and you basically cut off from the United States, you can't return because of the illegal things that you did or whatever, for whatever reason. Where is a highly trained spook supposed to go when his country won't let him come back? You sell your shit to the highest bidder. The reason the cartels became as powerful as they did, and with the knowledge of the infrastructure that they have, is because the people that we disavowed and left to the cold were able to sell their talents to the highest bidder and facilitate that power increase. We create these problems, and then we want to point at fucking immigrants and point at people who don't look like us and say they're the fucking problem.
We murder their dictators and then install a puppet government that then turns into a clusterfuck. Where have we seen that multiple times?
After having listened to JL's example that he just gave for all the viewers out there, I just want to let everybody know, if you're fascinated by that story, you can read it almost exactly. It almost unfolds exactly the same in a little book called Power of the Dog by Don Wilson. Get that book. His books are fucking amazing. Power of the Dog. El Poder del Perro. Don Wilson.
You see this repetition of this thing where the problem is caused and then someone else is blamed for it, and the idea of shifting this issue like this, that we're seeing that again with it.
Have you ever heard of
going to the last thing? Go ahead.
Have you ever heard of Greg Grandin?
That name is familiar.
He wrote a book called Fordlandia, which is about Ford.
That I've heard of. Okay,
yeah, that is a fantastic book. But he's written a lot. He's got some books and articles on kind of like, Northern colonialism and the effects of like U.S. policies on Central and South America. He's more specifically South America, but yeah, his stuff is fantastic. So check that out. Also, viewers, Greg Grandin, Fordlandia, or Greg Grandin, Grandin.
And the last thing that's on here, the last thing on this gross list, and you brought him up, the snake in a human costume, Stephen Miller. And this goes first, so this could be a little bit. Mass deportation goes into effect with Stephen Miller advocating for denaturalization, which is a conversation that he has been having and is picking up steam. And the idea of denaturalization, and this was actually addressed by Carrie Talbot, executive director of the Immigration Hub, following Citizenship Day. And I brought it up that the denaturalization campaign that began under Trump, and which close advisor Stephen Miller now promises to turbocharge, is a direct attack on the fundamental principles of fairness, stability, and equal rights that citizenship represents. And the idea of denaturalization is that if you weren't born here and became a naturalized citizen, you can't stay. You're gone.
Really?
So that is what Stephen Miller is pushing forward. The idea and his whole turbocharge, to go to this one. Yes. Stephen Miller.
No, I want to raise my hand on this just to make sure that this is okay. If you became, say, a citizen last year, but you're not original.
Justice Department establishes office to denaturalize immigrants. And this was, and Stephen Miller, yes, we started a new denaturalization project under Trump in 2025, expected to be turbocharged. And going to this one, as reported by the New York Times, I know that media and whatever shit like that, but it was reported by the New York Times. 1 second. And Justice Department establishes office to denaturalize immigrants. And
how far back does it go?
According to the New York Times, I need to pay in order to see the rest of that, but I could probably find it if I do some further digging.
I mean, are we looking at a Gangs of New York sort of style situation, or
the Five Corners?
Right. Yeah. It's like the people that were born,
the 5 points.
Were true Americans. Like, if, how far, because really we're all immigrants, except for obviously indigenous people. So, I'm sure they would love.
So, what's the name of that? What's the name of that story?
1 second. So that was the immigrationhub.org. It's on there. And then it's quoted Stephen Miller talking about turbocharging it. And then Justice Department establishes office to denaturalize immigrants. And
I'm sure that they're just because they're racist dickweeds. I'm sure that they just mean brown ones.
Okay, and
Because
so if I reload this, I may be
they're
able to get it.
assholes.
The department called the decision to move. The department called the decision to move to bring justice. 1 second, to bring justice to terrorists, war criminals, sex offenders, and other fraudsters. But some lawyers are saying that they fear a broader crackdown. Is what some legal analysts are talking about. Now, obviously, they're going to spearhead it and be like, yes, this is to bring justice and to make sure we get all the bad guys and all the people that are coming across. But the far-reaching implications of it is that people who were not born here but were naturalized can have that naturalization revoked and
Well,
out, which
that's my
means
dad.
parents
Right.
can
That's
be
my father.
revoked, leaving their children who were born here alone.
My dad's never lived in Germany. What the fuck are they gonna do? Put him over there?
So, James, thoughts
Well,
on this?
he might be happier there after. Sorry.
So, James, thoughts on this? The turbocharging of denaturalization.
So that just seems weird to me because there's so many undocumented immigrants, right? For various reasons. Like they were talking about something like 11 million or something. They were talking about trying to get, export like 1 million a year or something. With all the people that aren't naturalized, it seems like that should be like a later phase of their evil plan. Like get rid of the the quote unquote illegal people first, and then go after the naturalized. I don't understand why they'd go after the naturalized ones now. I don't get that. Can someone explain that to me?
I think it's just a matter of targeting people that, of getting them all out. That's the idea of just getting them out.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's logistically like non-viable to even just deal with the undocumented immigrants. For them to just, take on that much larger project of even denaturalizing everyone that's been naturalized, and then to take all of that at once to deal with, man, I think, I know, I don't, I just can't picture it. I think that it's on their list. I just don't think they'll get to it that quickly. So that's
Earl?
my answer.
I don't see how it's feasible, because that requires a lot of paperwork and a lot of diving into public records that are notoriously a clusterfuck to dive into. So I don't see how it's logistically possible. But I would be remiss if I failed to heed the intentions of the written intentions of these people. We ignore them at our peril. So, but I don't know. I'm on the fence on that one.
Hey, Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time that I'm hearing about it. So,
did you find the what I was talking about? Did you find the link for it, or
did you send it to me? Or?
Oh no, I just didn't know if you were looking it up. So, but just as far as the source, yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by it, given that it's Stephen Miller. I'm just wondering to what extent they're going to allow him to run rampant without a leash.
Well, he is 3 raccoons in a human suit, so
yeah, he can get around. Yeah, I don't know. I am worried about that because I don't think if they do that, if they follow his advice and they try to do that, that I think is going to be seen as a massive betrayal amongst especially male Latino voters. I mean, at this election, male Latino voters, I think, went for Trump like 55% or something like that. Or, I'm not sure, but, something like that. It was big.
Mm-hmm.
That would kind of pop, a hole in that. Part of me wants to think that they're probably going to do that. The other part of me thinks, is kind of wondering whether or not it's all that viable. I don't know.
Yeah, logically, I can't make it make sense in my head, but they'll try something.
But we're not dealing with logical people to be
exactly
like
and
what's
trying
going on
to
here.
understand the mindset of
it seems like one of those things. It seems like one of those they could pull that move off in the event of some kind of reactionary event. You know what I mean? There's some kind of like, crime story or something, whatever, captures the national attention. And then they pull that move. Maybe they could do that. But just to kind of initiate it on their own, it seems a little bit less likely. But I'm not sure. I'm not committed either way.
Well, that was the extent of the list that I have, and there's a lot of very scary things that are there, but like I said, and a lot of shit that can get people riled up. I know some people have had to dip out of the live stream because a lot of it is just so infuriating and scary as to what could potentially happen. Now, like I said, I don't know what's going to happen. I think that the range of possibilities of what could go down starting in January of 2025, barring anything happening between now and then, because I think it is still very much a crapshoot as to what fucking shenanigans are going to go on in the upper echelons of DC and how the American public is going to react to this shit. I have no idea. I literally feel like I don't know. Like, it's weird to not have an idea as to what could occur because so much is potential. There's like even the most ridiculous shit that you could, there's like, that could possibly happen. Like, there's no way that Biden would invoke, his presidential immunity and go after the Supreme Court and knock them all out and basically decimate the entire thing. Trump going in. There's no way he could do that. Maybe. I honestly, I don't know. So, but going forward, we obviously have to be prepared. We cannot allow them to turn us into them, where we all become stark raving lunatics screaming about shit on the internet and not actually doing anything. Yeah. So at this point, go ahead, Jefferson.
I have one point that I would like to make. If Biden can't get some of those crazy things accomplished, I think it would be super funny. The curtains behind the Resolute desk. Mm-hmm. When the president. Mm-hmm. If I were Biden, I would pass a resolution that those have to be queer rainbows.
Yeah, why not?
And Trump can't change them. in remembrance of Biden as like the guy that like said like yes, he ran up and down the hall.
Hugging the American flag and all that shit.
With the flag during, when they passed the Gay Marriage Act, he was like super excited about it, much more than Obama was. I think like, okay, well, in remembrance of him, you should pass that, and then Trump can't get rid of that. That way, every time Trump appears in public behind the Resolute desk, the queer flag's right there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You brought up the Resolute desk, and it just reminded me. Didn't Trump say that didn't he make the claim that he chose that desk?
I believe so.
I think he did.
I think he did. I think he was like he picked that desk. I was like,
everything's a good idea.
Are you insane?
Yes. It's the only desk, you moron.
It's the only desk. There's only one. So Colin Devenant Cromwell has become a member of the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Colin. I appreciate that. And also Aaron Colson for 10 freedom dollars. Says Trump is not as cognitively sharp as he once was, and there are a lot of competing factions under the larger MAGA umbrella. I'm not entirely sure internal infighting won't slow all their plans. And it's a good point. And something that I actually brought up myself is that there's the scary idea that Trump may not make it through the next 4 years. He is old. He is in decline. He may just kick it. He may fall off Air Force One. He may die of natural causes. I don't know.
An umbrella or a Big Mac could take him out.
Yeah,
I am so banking on McDonald's coming through. I have been banking on McDonald's coming through for me and just
But we have
blowing
got
up one of those
fish.
arteries.
but,
Yeah,
but
keep
then we're
munching,
looking-
motherfucker. Keep munching, because I got
But-
my money on McDonald's.
But then we're looking at a Vance presidency, which is, I think, in a way, kind of scarier because he's younger
He's an idiot.
and he's a psycho. So, but nonetheless, there, things like that
That-
could happen. But of
And
the
he likes
range
couches.
of the
That
range
dude,
of shit,
that dude would have a 22% approval rate in like 3 months.
Oh yeah, and we couldn't get him off the couch to do anything.
Oh,
So
and Mr. E-Man has gifted 5 memberships to the Godless Army. Thank you so much, Mr. E-Man. I do appreciate that support. You rock. Daniel Cooper does say, here's a question. If it's not on your list, the Republicans will eliminate the filibuster so that they can easier pass legislation without the 60-vote margin in the Senate. And a lot of people are thinking, so Jefferson, you saying no, that's not going to happen.
McConnell does not want it.
McConnell freezes. McConnell is not long for this world.
Dude, but he's not,
He's
dude.
not
That
gonna last
fucker's
4 years.
already
I know.
staring the Grim Reaper down.
I
He's
know.
not going to last
Is-
4 years.
As long as that dude's in play, they're not. He does not want that.
I
But
swear.
they probably will get it if he passes away. Yes,
He's like,
I agree with
dude,
that.
You see that when he's like, and that
Yeah,
the Grim
glitch
Reaper's
glitch
like,
McConnell. Yeah,
tick, 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 my friend.
the Grim Reaper.
Tick, tick, tick.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's a possibility. There's like
We
I
are
said,
being so bad right now.
this runs the range. This runs the range of Trump getting into office, and for the next 2 years, shit does not go his way. It's a complete and total clusterfuck. He makes an entire mess of the government, and during the midterms, he loses favorability to the point that something like essentially he goes in, fucks up the kitchen, and then he goes out. And then we go on to the next election. There's that possibility.
I also think that within his presidency, we're going to have a very big recession.
Possible, yeah. It's like literally the idea. I think that the range of things that can happen go from he comes into office, he fucks up the kitchen, and then leaves, and then we go right back to we pick up the pieces and try to rebuild from there. But that'll pretty much be it. Or
I don't know if you saw
he comes
Dark
into
Matter's
the government. He
video
comes into
today.
the government, completely and totally restructures everything as a fucking puppet for larger forces behind him, and then inevitably alters this country into a straight up autocratic theocracy, which then can then pass power to the next designated individual, other than holding elections. So I think that the entire range of shit is entirely possible.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So including in things World War III, Civil War, at least civil unrest to some degree, states against states, people like mass migrations for people jumping from one state to go to another one, people, all I think
all during his last presidency, we had, I mean, people seem to forget that we had like mass riots and shit that like they still think it's under Biden, but like that, like there was, they say no new wars, but we had one like here.
Yeah. So I think it's all on the table.
Yeah.
All of it. Now, the question then is, and I think what people should be thinking about, what people should take into consideration, this is where I kind of want to get into the
what do we do now?
It feels so fucking cliche because I'm almost of like I don't really do hope. I do confidence.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a terribly optimistic person. I'm a realistic person, but I try not to be a cynical pessimist. God damn this country for trying to make me one.
I'll do that. Good enough.
I'm a pessimist.
So yeah, you could be my pessimist. You could be my pessimist. You could be my cynics, because I try to be as realistic as possible. So the question then becomes, what can we do from here? And what I'll proffer, and I want to talk to each. I want each of you to give your opinions like that. What we as citizens can do, and I think the key lies in local organization. Like I said at the start of the stream, the battlegrounds have been moved from the upper echelons of legislation, from the hallways of the upper echelons of legislation, to the very streets in front of our homes, to our very homes themselves. That it has been pushed to that point where now the fight is literally at our front door. We're in that cool period where we're in that like that Bay of Pigs area where we're kind of like, what's going to happen? We don't know what's happening, like that. But we're there. So the whole point is, if the people if them up at the top are not going to do something, it's got to be done at the local level. So my thoughts are that the one thing that individuals in this country can do is local organization. And for the people abroad who support the people like us, people like, people on the ground level, locally organizing, keep talking about things, form group. I'm not talking militias, form groups that talk about this stuff, be involved, groups that can come together and actually push for change at a local level. Because for one thing we can say is that thankfully for the states' rights, 10th Amendment. I need to brush up on my constitutional law.
I think that's right.
10th Amendment. So the federal government can't just dictate what states do.
Yeah.
Okay. So they can't just straight dictate to us. In order to protect that, the states, the populations of the states need to organize locally. And that goes down to those little towns that you live in, to the big cities, big metropolitan areas, all the way up to the governorship. There's got to be a push upwards to see the change, because the change that we want is not going to come from the Republicans, and it's not going to come from the goddamn Democrats. It's not going to come from the establishment as it is, which is why we see this effort to burn this fucking thing down. The change has got to come from within the house. It's got to come from within. So local organization is my thoughts. What do you think, Jefferson?
I would raise an objection. It has to be top down.
It's got to be top down.
Yeah.
Because and I see that. I just think that it's, in my opinion, and I think I'm being realistic, I think it is so far gone at the top that it can't.
Yeah.
I get that. And in terms of the post-mortem on this one, with the Democratic Party looking for answers, now is a good time for them to start looking for some kind of different solution to it. But like I said, I think I put it in the chat. I was like, they might as well open up their books to the Democratic Socialists of America. Just let the DCA in there, and
hey, Democrats, the call was coming from inside the house.
Exactly,
stupid motherfuckers.
Yeah, at this point, it's not going to make much of a difference. In terms of national politics, most of this stuff is directed from the top down. The DNC, the RNC, there's almost no way of getting around it. The only way because third party groups always say, we're going to do this, we're going to fight, we're going to unionize, we're going to do whatever. The best thing that can happen for the Democratic Party, because this is a truism, 90% of the working class are not unionized. 10% are. And out of those voting statistics, the union workers voted Democratic 8-1. That's an easy return on it. So if you want to do something to actually really organize for the Democrat, if you want to know, when Elizabeth Warren comes out with a video and it says fight, whatever the fuck that means, or AOC says fight, whatever the fuck that means. Yeah. If you are a worker, what you need to be looking into, these platitudes suck. What you need to be looking into is how to organize. The Democratic Party needs an institutional base from which it can derive support from. It used to be able to derive that support from unionized labor. It hasn't been able to do that because conservative Republicans eroded that support, and Democrats allowed them to do that.
It's been absolutely gutted. So
they need to flip that around. Democrats need to seek that out, bolster that up, build it up, and then weaponize that against their opponents. Without that kind of institutional support, that is more important than Democrats pursuing IPAC votes or any of these other compromised, goofy-ass positions that they have. The reason that we have Clinton Democrats is because unions are weak. They're just trying to promise us that the usual neoliberal corporate Democrat kind of crap. Mm-hmm. So if you want to do something sizable and real, fucking figure out how to unionize. Look into that and do it. Unionize. There need to be more union members. That needs to be a thing. It's the only thing that's going to work. This is a capitalist country. in capitalist countries need an antagonist, and an antagonist is a unionized workforce. If you
I
don't
love
get
unions.
that, you're not going to get social reform.
So I like
You won't
that.
get it.
Because the like literally, I mean, use the system against itself. Capitalism
Mhm.
does have its unregulated
weakness points.
capitalism. Yeah, it has its weakness points. It has its soft spots, and one of its soft
Mhm.
spots is people need to work to make it work. And if
Mhm.
people don't work, then nothing gets done. Like
And
Right.
labor always recognizes you as an individual as someone who needs to work.
Mhm.
When the company doesn't realize that you are, the company decides that you're fungible. The company decides that you're write-offable. The company decides whatever the fuck. The union knows you are valuable and you need a job and you need a wage. They want you to be in the game. You need to be in a fucking union. Any of these guys, the Latino men that are voting for Trump in a slight majority, any of the younger black men, 15%, 15%, 15%, millennial, Gen Z, Gen X,
Younger Gen X,
anybody,
yeah.
any guy over 65 that was less than 5% voted for him, because those guys remember the Civil War. They're not falling for that shit. Any of these younger guys, though, you need to get fucking unionized, because the last thing that any elected official wants is for you to have representative voice in a political way in your workplace. Fucking unionize. If you don't do it, you won't last. And if you think this stunt, voting for a guy who's basically like some kind of like weird fever dream manifestation of an edgelord, is going to get you the girl of your dreams or get you the job or win you the lottery or whatever, it's not going to fucking happen. Whatever you fucking think. We need unions and we need union workers. We do not need the working class. And I don't want to say, I want to be very careful about this. We need the working class, but we need the working class to be unionized. We need you to be unionized. When you are unionized, you have a group that is representing you, that is legislating for you, that is educating you, that is telling you what politicians are actually working for you. If you are out in the dark and in the cold as a non-unionized worker, you are fucked.
You
And
don't believe union
everything,
busters.
yes, exactly. Everything about the last 20 to 30 years of everything we've seen in terms of like the pro-capitalist movement has been about busting up unions. And a lot of the people that voted for Trump don't think unions are worth a damn, because unions have never represented them, mostly because they've never had access to a union.
Right.
Unionize.
So it's probing time brings
love
up an
that.
interesting point. Unions here have mostly been extremely corrupt. I have seen that directly and personally myself. And you are correct. One of the arguments against deunionization is the potential for corruption. But hang on. What were they corrupted by? Where did the corruption come from? It predominantly came from organized crime. Utilizing that was organized crime. Wait. Where did the organized crime come from? From the establishment of prohibition, which was what gave the mafia a foothold into American economics. The whole
Exactly.
reason that thing started was because prohibition kicked off, in came the mafia,
Mhm.
then prohibition was repealed, and the mafia needed other revenue streams.
Mhm.
And Teamsters unions were excellent for that.
Mhm.
Okay?
Yep.
We create the problem and then point at the victims of that problem and say, there it is.
Mhm.
That's the whole reason why. The corruption of unionizations was a result of the very actions of the government. And then the governments, or the localized governments, want to get rid of these things and say that, oh, we can't have unions because of this problem. You created it.
And if you are looking into the history of unions, if you're looking into the history of unions and you're seeing something about rank corruption, there was all these problems with it, I would advise you, suck it up, Buttercup. Here's the problem with that. Corruption works. Okay? I don't want to be like really impolitic about this. What do you think your boss is doing? He's looking to defraud you from your wages because he's fucking corrupt. What do you think the politician is trying to do if they're going to undermine your wages? They're doing that because they're fucking corrupt. If your union is representing you and they're a little bit corrupt, maybe just eat it a little bit. But before you get totally pissed off at me.
Baby corruption.
Let's keep this in mind. The corruption that was associated with unions, like JL said, was associated with the shift in its attention from organized crime. Organized crime at this point, especially the kind of organized crime that was connected with labor unions, like the Italian mafias and that kind of thing, is gone. It has been neutered. It's been neutered for over 30 years.
Most of these organizations, the five families, if even they have representation like that, most of it has been relegated to like legal shit nowadays. Mm-hmm. It's just like they just have their fingers in the head, and they built up enough. Ill-gotten gains to get them into the legal game. To get into that. So
most of it isn't even there. So if your fifis are getting bothered by the fact that, like, well, I wouldn't mind being involved in a union, but I've heard unions are super corrupt. What you're internalizing is a narrative that was invented in the 70s. An anti-union narrative that was channeled into you by a lot of Republican propaganda and conservative propaganda to make you understand, to make you feel that organizing as a laborer automatically made you corrupt. Because the existing institutions, the existing labor unions, might have been corrupt.
Aaron, they use the. In other words, there shouldn't be corruption, but if there is, you want it on your side.
Fucking amen, right?
So true.
Use it against, you gotta. Yeah. Republicans have been playing a game, a long, long game that they are now reaping the benefits of in mass. Democrats have not been playing the same game. They're playing chess. We're playing checkers. Like, it's not, we're on two separate planets. I've been saying this for weeks. We are living in fundamentally different realities. In order to get power back, we are going to start to have to play a little dirty. I'm not saying be like them. I'm saying that if they want to play games, we got to at least get on the field.
Right. Tony Regime brings up any organization with bargaining power can be corrupted. And you are correct, Tony Regime, but the way they could be corrupted today is not the way they could be corrupted then.
Right.
And so that obvious corruption that occurred then, we've had decades in order to shore that up. But even then, corruption that occurs today, those fail states are there and would be rooted out too fucking sweet. So to think that crime on the level of post, like the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s,
doesn't exist anymore.
The crime, like the organized crime on that level, could occur in the United States again? No, there's no fucking way. We're not going to see another, St. Valentine's Day massacre. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not also the level of corruption that's going to happen. What's going to happen if there's a level of corruption that's going to happen in the direction of like what? Workers get bigger bonuses, they get more money, as opposed to the levels of corruption we've seen happening at the corporate levels of power, at the very top, with them taking more and more money.
Our own president.
Record profits, wages stagnating. Record profits, wages stagnating. What the fuck? What do you think? But you didn't hear about that shit back when unions, prior to Prohibition, unions had their bargaining power. That shit didn't happen. Okay, but once unionization went down, people lost their representation. They lost the ability to bargain in order to fight for better conditions and for better wages to compensate for the increase in cost of living. When that all went away, corporations were able to say, we can begin shaving away from the worker and begin adding to our own pockets because all we need unions to do is to put tab A into slot B. Why am I paying you this for this? Why do you think the fucking federal minimum wage is still $7.25? That literally puts you below the poverty line.
Right. The number and the other thing about this is not only are the benefits there, Carol, it's also the fact unions when emboldened, when funded, and when motivated, serve as an educational branch for the workers that they represent. One of the things that normally happens is that the workers get an opportunity to meet with their union representation, and union representation tells them about the legislative process. It tells them about the people that they're talking to. It talks to them about the negotiations that they have with upper management. It provides a very real, direct, one-on-one feedback with those workers. There's a reason why the 10% of unionized workers voted 8-1 for Kamala Harris, while the rest of the 90% of people who are working class, who are not unionized, were all over the fucking place. And the reason for that is the educational benefit that comes with it. Now, I can hear it happening now. They're like, oh, well, what's actually happening is an indoctrination from the unions, yada, yada, yada. You get the word from your union rep that Representative so-and-so or Congressman this and that or Senator what's-his-face or what's-her-face is doing this, this, and this, that union can get out and really fuck shit up.
Right.
If you want, like, so for any of this crap, and this is one of the things that, I didn't want to like bust you guys' bubble on this, but I'm planning on responding to Stephen Woodford's video.
Oh, that video that he dropped? Yeah, I talked about it prior, yeah. Because
I completely disagree with him. But the reason I disagree with him is because this issue happens every time Democrats lose, and it's the idea that Democrats haven't been able to figure out the working class voter and haven't been able to figure out the hillbilly. Fuck that shit. It doesn't matter if they're working class. It doesn't matter if they're a hillbilly. Unionize that motherfucker. Unionize that motherfucker. If he's in a union, it doesn't matter how big a fucking okie he fucking is. You get that fucker in a union, he's going to vote for you. He's going to get educated by you. He's going to be weaponized by you. Unionize that bucktooth, dopey-ass shit motherfucker. That's how it works. Any of this other shit is a bunch of fucking nonsense. These assholes talking about like, oh, we just don't understand how to appeal to these fucking idiots eating macaroni and cheese and watching their fucking teeth fall out in front of the camper. That's not how this fucking works.
Drinking their Mountain Dew.
It doesn't work like that at all. That's a bunch of that's a bunch of couch fucker nonsense. Fuck that shit. Get out and unionize, you stupid motherfuckers. You give a shit about your job. You give a shit about your money. You give a shit about pay. Fucking unionize and learn some shit. Fucking idiots.
Tones over things it brings up. Don't forget the workers organizing also leads to the Republicans using their favorite C word to demonize it. Communism.
Yeah.
Fuck yes. Own it. Own that word.
Lean into it. That's what I was going to say. Lean into it.
You tattoo that hammer and sickle right on your heart. You walk up to that Republican. You hit him in the face with a fucking halibut. I don't give a shit. You own that fucking communism. Fuck his shit up. Jeff Bezos can buy this country 2.5 times over.
Mm-hmm.
I've got a hammer and sickle over my chest. Shampoo my crotch, motherfucker. Fuck all of you.
And that is why I wanted to do this, because I
apologize. I apologize. I'm getting worked up.
No, it does. That's
because I was having an existential crisis. I'm chronically online. I get that, but I'm having conversations with these people that do not give a shit about facts. They do not care about other people besides themselves. There is no way that I can actually reach across the aisle and try to make more. What am I going to do? Make more concessions and make more. But I just there's nothing else that I can't give anymore. And these people are so morally fucking bankrupt that I legitimately don't want to engage with them at all.
Right.
So I was going through the stages of grief, and then I'm arrived at righteous anger. And because the first thing that I did was cry. And then, within 2 hours, I'm sitting there going, okay, now what the fuck do we do about this? And right. I was failing to come up with a tangible rational something that to reach for that could possibly fix this mess, and to have an answer is bringing me a lot of relief. Because I'm a dental hygienist, and I've been saying for years that we needed to unionize because we get
you do.
We get
Yes,
royally
you do.
fucked by asshole dentists, because the exact same things that make a dentist a really good dentist make them shitty business owners, and they treat us like shit. And what is happening right now is that there was a mass exodus of dental hygienists after the pandemic because we were being treated so fucking unfairly, and they never returned to the market. And so now these dentists, instead of paying us what we're worth, are now doing dental hygiene. Don't ever get your teeth cleaned by a dentist, ever. They suck at it. They don't do it right. They deal with teeth. We deal with gums. Our jobs are not the same. They do not check our work. That is not what they are doing when they check your mouth. That is not, anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
That's an interesting point. Yeah.
Do not get your teeth cleaned by a dentist. They are trying to take our jobs because they don't want to pay us. And I've been saying for years that hygienists have got to get together and form some kind of protection so that we can't get royally fucked by these asshole dentists. And I've been wanting to do it for years, and having somebody tell me that I'm right always makes me happy. So
you're welcome.
So I think local organization, people coming together and having these conversations. I think local organization it feels almost like a ground up. So I say local organization. Jefferson's talking about a labor organization, which I also agree with. I absolutely agree with. I think workers need those protections so that we don't have motherfuckers running around this country making, who can buy the country 2 times over and want to spend that money on making giant space dicks. So I think that's an important thing. Earl, what are you thinking? Like, just going forward, an idea that you have for what can be done.
So I think that there needs to be, I think that we need to quit fucking around. I think that we have been engaging with these people in all the wrong ways. Again, they don't care about facts. It's not going to change their mind. They don't care that their leader is a morally repugnant shit stain, an embarrassment, and an undemocratic fuckwit. They don't care. They do not care. So trying to, go into forums or be on YouTube comments or be arguing with these people is a lesson in futility. Save yourself the headache, the heartache. Just stop. This is the lesson that I have had to learn kicking and screaming, because I do not go in and initiate fights, but I will fucking end them. And I have a hard time walking away from somebody that I think is doing great harm to our little American experiment. I'm having a really hard time, but I have to recognize that I cannot. There's nothing that I can say. There's nothing that I can say that will change their mind. And so I think for everybody, I think we need to just stop. They are in their echo chamber. They live in a fundamentally different world than we do. There is absolutely no point in trying to engage with these people. I think that what we need to do is to do what Jefferson was referring to. There needs to be action taken. Talking isn't going to fix it. And,
so
Democrats,
aggressive action.
Yes. Democrats have been talking and talking and talking until we're blue in the fucking face, and none of it has made any difference. So stop talking. Stop wasting your breath. They don't care about facts. So there's no like, but they're just going to keep hearing the same shit. They're going to keep hearing the same shit, and you can't do anything about that. It won't matter. So stop. And I think that once we stop giving these people oxygen, once we stop acknowledging their existence, they'll tone themselves down because, they'll eat their own. Let them eat their own. Let them have it. Just let them have it.
They'll eat each other.
They'll eat each other. Yeah,
They'll
the
eat
leopards
each
will
other.
start eating each other's faces, and then we can just let that implode while we sit and actually give a shit about our representative democracy, because they also don't care about that. They want to live in an authoritarian dictatorship, theocracy, hellscape. Let them have that.
I think
Don't engage.
it was
Don't-
John Pym. It was John Pym back, I think, in the 1600s. I think there's a quote he said that something about actions speaking louder than something. I'm not sure what was it, but I think it's right. I like this. So local organization.
It was worms.
Well,
Actions
and
speak
Worms,
louder than
they
worms.
Speak louder than
Worms.
worms.
Well,
And-
and Aaron Reese is saying the thing that I'm having a hard time with, is that we have to have truth to offer them that is good or better than the lie they're being offered. No, we don't. They do not care about facts. On a fundamental level, deep in their core, this entire election was done on fifis. All of it. Every single part.
It was all vibes.
It was all vibes. Every single fucking Republican that I either engaged with or watched or all of it was, the economy feels so and so. I feel like my money isn't, so all of it was vibes. They do not, fundamentally, they do not care at all about facts. So stop giving them facts. Stop giving these people screen time. Stop engaging with them. They don't care. So stop. Once we let them just stay ostracized in their little hateful little bubble, I really think that eventually they will just start eating each other and devolve into, because what authoritarian dictatorship has ever survived? They will eat themselves to death.
Yeah, they're always administratively weak. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let them have it.
And James, what are you thinking? Going forward, other than preparation, what are you thinking is best move? What can we do in your eyes? The biggest and most important thing we can do.
Right now, my most immediate concern is the mental health of the people that are so worried about their future, and with good reasons. And so I would encourage everybody to prioritize your mental health. Do not overextend yourself. Do not allow yourself to get sucked in to the controversies to the extent that it eats away and causes so much anxiety and depression that your mental health declines. And as a result of that, your physical health declines, your social health declines. Don't sacrifice yourself in that way for this. Figure out how much of yourself you can afford to give to the cause of trying to safeguard our future. Set that aside for these causes. Don't go beyond that. That's my primary concern.
I like this, and that goes apart with organization, because organization, having people around you who can pick up the load, who can help with the load, can allow people to do that, and that comes with, especially not only organizing but protecting those organizations legally by giving them power. And I think that the general message of this is going forward from January forward. Depending upon, we don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be a shitty fucking Christmas, I can tell you that. But moving forward, January going on, I think that the message here is aggressive organization is what it's going to take. I don't know what form that's going to take. It could take a lot of different forms, but aggressive organization is.
I think we'll get there when we get there, but yeah, I think that action needs to happen and not words. I don't think words are going to fix a fucking thing.
Right. Build networks and plug yourself into healthy networks so that you won't be alone in the fight.
What you got, Jeff?
I want to bring up one other tactic. Going forward, I appreciate James' input and Earl's input. I completely agree with those. I want to bring this up. I think that the one appropriate reaction to this, but that's only because maybe this is a punk rock kind of thing for me. Make them smell your finger. Put it right up against their nose. The issue behind most of this kind of stuff is based on voter insecurity and all this other kind of stuff. You need to actually show them why they're completely fucked up about this. Most right-wing voters are going to tell you that the reason that they voted for Trump was the economy, the gas prices, some food, and why I can't get laid. Horse shit. That's not why they voted for them. They didn't. These dickheads did not vote for Trump. They voted for, because they were concerned about their money. If they were concerned about gas, they would have turned in their trucks. If they were concerned about their food, they would get off the Jordan Peterson all beef diet. If they were concerned about their taxes, they would have brought that up to somebody locally. What they end up fucking doing is bringing up these stupid ass issues at a national level and then blame this on the Democrat. It's Biden's fault, or it's Kamala's fault. The major issue to bring forward the next time we do this is to make sure that the poo that they leave from January to what's it going to be, November of 2026, you march them through every fucking month and you bury their nose in every pile of shit they left and slap the back of their head with a fucking newspaper to remind them of how badly they fucked up. And they will fuck up. The reason these losers are walking in with Donald Trump, the Project 2025 motive, it's entirely built around the idea these guys cannot survive in the actual civil service rules. So in order for them to actually succeed, they have to have them rewritten. That's why they're doing that. When these guys actually get in, we will be flooded with an enormous amount of sexless, dickless, fuckless, witless dorks. And we will have to suffer for this.
Hey, I resemble that.
Sorry.
So 4chan. 4chan is running the government.
4chan as your the IRS.
You are actually absolutely right. As fucked up as that is, that is why the thumbnail for this stream, that artwork, which is fine by the way, is from Mad Max. We are in a post-apocalyptic hellscape, and our government is run by 4chan. You are absolutely 100% unironically correct.
Yeah, I think so.
The rest of us who figured out how to read with phonics and can read comfortably the rest of the time have to deal with these fucking morons who are functionally illiterate. Figure out the fucking government.
But when the ice in my glass melts, it doesn't overflow my glass.
I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. Brondo's got what plants crave. It's going to be absolutely epic watching these dumb motherfuckers literally one of them poop into the other one's mouth, poop into the other one's mouth, poop into the other one's diaper.
A consensual human centipede.
Human centipede, yes.
They want it.
So my recommendation to anybody, I appreciate what James had to say. Excellent. Earl, you gave excellent advice. I'm giving something a little bit more fucked up. These motherfuckers front to you. Make them smell your finger. Like, what? Guess what I did last night? Your fucking mom. You piece of fucking shit. She'll fuck me. She won't fuck anybody else, you unsafe piece of shit, because you're a dirty fucking dick. You piece of fucking shit. Yeah. Do that kind of crap. Yeah. You voted for a rapist, you asshole. Yeah. Why don't you bust the dust off that pussy every once in a while, you piece of shit? I have never hated Republicans more in my life, and I've hated Republicans hardcore. Same. I was a conservative 15 fucking years ago, 20 fucking years ago. I know how these cocksuckers think. The shit that they're doing right now, the stuff that, they're popping up, your body, my choice kind of shit, that is exactly why they voted for Trump. They did not, this is my big difference with rationality rules, and I will do an essay on this. They did not vote because they feel isolated. Oh, I'm hillbilly elegy. I'm overlooked. I'm the working class hero. No, fuck that shit. They want to tell a woman that she's a piece of shit and she has to work in a house and feed him food and produce his kids for him. That is what they fucking want. These pieces of shit have wanted this for a long fucking time. I know I was in that incel group. And anybody that tries to tell me that it's 73 million people voted for him this time, 74 million voted for him last time, it's the same group. It's the same fan club.
Yep.
Fuck those people. They
have been saying all the facts, and they're still voting. They're still voting for him. So
you can tell them whatever you want. Exactly. You can tell them whatever you want.
Fuck their goddamn couch. No, that was not an invitation, Vance.
Right.
I felt it was an invitation for me. But anyway, yeah, sorry.
Fuck your couch.
Fuck those people. Fuck their, whatever they're trying to say that they've got going on. And the other thing that's going to happen is they're going to come out and say, you know what we want? We want you guys to be humble. We want you to be humble. And we want, this is the identity that's happening from right wingers. If you're left wing or liberal, you need to be a Yoda-like sage that stands there just unfussed by whatever is going on. But if you're a right winger, you can scream and get a tattoo burned into your fucking eyeball and like blow up all of Thunderdome, freaking out about taxes and what the trans people are doing, and then walk up to that sage and go, bitch, facts don't care about your feeling. That is the reality that we have going on. Your job as that sage is to kick that stupid motherfucking Viking in his cocksucking nuts. Kick them in the nuts.
Metaphorically speaking.
Show them your finger and feed them the correct narrative, which is you are a delusional piece of shit. You have no idea what's going on. You don't understand policy, and you need to eat your own ass. You can stop when I allow it. That's what I'm going to tell you at this point. Fuck every fucking one of them. And when we come back in 2026, every fucking one of them is going to be laying out. They're going to be jobless because prices are going to be up no matter what. Prices will be higher. The economy will not be good, and Donald Trump will not be looking great. We will win.
And addendum to that, I saved it. So I want to put this out there because I had the picture on my phone, but I wanted to make a note of it. On November 6th, on November 6th, 2024, the stock market was at 43,492 points. Annual inflation was 2.2% and unemployment was at 4.1. I saved it on my phone. Those were the stats on the day after.
I actually have all that written.
And we'll come back and look at
my
that.
tiny red notebook.
Earl's got the list.
There you go. See?
I wrote a whole bunch of fucking facts in here that I was like, pointless.
And YouTube Punk says, still time for Biden to resign. President Harris takes the stage, and as an official act, has Trump arrested. Now, Aaron Reese brings up, the office of the president doesn't have arresting powers, and the DOJ dragged it for too long. But orders can be given through the DOJ as if Trump were to be labeled a clear and present threat to
they
the
claim
nation,
we're weaponizing the DOJ anyway. We might as well actually do it.
A threat to national security. You can label him that, and you can have him detained for however long you need. Just ask anybody in Guantanamo. So
and then you can reseat the entire Supreme Court.
You could. And I mean, if you want
said to add gas prices because that's also something they care about that the president has nothing to do with.
Hooligan brings up if we're trying to fast track a civil war here, definitely do that. If that's the goal,
right? The price of eggs and gas prices. If I have to hear one more fucking time what the price of eggs are, I actually have that in my little notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
Take it anymore.
Like I said, anytime somebody they're like on NPR, Apple News podcast, they're like several of the people that had actually voted for Donald Trump cited that they had concerns about the cost of gas. Like the number one most purchased vehicle in the United States in 2024 was the Ford F-150. Number two was the Chevy Silverado. That you do.
And the Ford F-150 has been the best for years. And years and years, they don't fucking care about gas.
Yeah, they don't care. I remember when people were concerned about gas prices after Katrina. Everybody sold their trucks or tried to sell their trucks and then tried to get hybrids or compact cars. It got so bad you couldn't find a compact car and you couldn't unload a full-size pickup for anything. This was 2004. And these idiots are like, well, I'm really worried about the cost of gas. Like, no, you fucking aren't. You're paying $950 for a Silverado. You bitch. No, you're not.
Yeah.
Fuck off. Yeah.
Everything that they claim.
No. Sorry,
is
Raven Darks
not
says, hold on, you forget presidents are immune from prosecution now. But he's not currently the president. He's the president-elect, which is a different status than the sitting president. And if Kamala was the sitting president, she could declare that Donald J. Trump and whoever like this are do them as a clear and present danger to national security.
John.
And under that, actions could be taken. It technically wouldn't be an arrest. It would be a detainment, and he would become a detainee to be held in places undisclosed.
I got it. She challenges him to a duel, and then she fakes an injury, and then she's like, he tried to kill the president as the president-elect.
What happened to the days of Andrew Johnson, or no, sorry, like Andrew Jackson, when we could we could just take it out on the front lawn and just duel it out, baby. It's like, you want my fucking job? Be faster than me, bitch.
Yeah, what the hell happened? He was like an American Viking. He's just like, oh yeah, you got a problem, bro.
We go petty.
The president has the reputation. They called it, dude. And President Andrew Jackson's nickname was Old Hickory, and it wasn't because he was a tough son of a bitch. It was because the fucker carried a hickory cane wherever he went, and he beat the shit out of people with it.
He was an evil motherfucker.
It's fucking hilarious.
Nuts.
It's like, that's just fucking
a tradition I would bring back if I was dealing with the Congress, especially if the Congress was majority Republican. I'd just be like over the booth, like
fucking Andrew Jackson, man. The days of Old Hickory. We need legends. We need legends. No, he wasn't a legend. He was a piece of shit. But we need some Teddy Roosevelt.
He was infamous.
We need a Teddy Roosevelt to stand up. We need another bull moose with a spruce mustache to step
Roosevelt
up and do the thing.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, given this forward, I think that there's an idea here. I think the takeaways from this entire thing. Oh, and Tonover thinks it does bring up an issue. The last point was bridge the divide. Just remember, we are the enemy within, according to Trump. That is true. According to Trump, everyone here at this assembled panel is the enemy within. I am the enemy within because I am an atheist. I am technically left of center, but I will talk. I will speak against him at every fucking turn. So yes, and Jefferson as well, because if you said unions. You're on a list, my friend.
if anybody wants to see me indicted, just rewind and play back what I did before.
And no doubt, James and Earl, no doubt, we are the.
Well, I just went after all their propaganda, so I'm sure their new ministry of propaganda. I'm sure that's going to become a thing because they're not Nazis or anything.
And James bringing up mental health. So he's obviously infected with the woke mind virus, and so he's got to go.
Right, absolutely.
So, but I think the takeaways on this are we cannot allow them. I hate invoking this.
I hate them.
I hate this us versus them fucking mentality. But that's the reality of it. You have a group of people in this fucking nation that have voted against the rights, the rights of people to live their lives, that people's rights are under attack in that respect. There is no middle ground. Like I said before, there is no middle ground when it comes to civil rights. There is no middle ground when it comes to human rights.
Do not compromise your ethics.
These fuckers are not your friend. And the people who want to say, can't we just the people who want to invoke Rodney King, can't we all just get along? No, motherfucker, we cannot. Because when you vote for a person who tells my friend that he can't be who he is, you are an enemy. Yeah. Okay?
When I have to go through major surgery because you want to threaten to get rid of health,
you want to cast your vote. You want to cast your vote for a
I'm done
motherfucker
with you.
who would Weinstein your wife if given half a chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You are not safe to be around. I don't care what
Who
your
lies
fucking
with
excuse
impunity.
is. So, in that, I think that another message here is local organization and aggressive local organization. Start building it together. If you agree with me that the top is so fundamentally broken that it cannot be fixed there, then it needs to be fixed from the ground up. I mean, it's been done before. We've seen it in the past.
Yeah.
Enough people gather on fucking Washington, you will see change happen.
Yeah.
And
if you're wondering how to get started, start a Facebook group, start a YouTube channel, start something that brings people. Now, James and I have talked extensively about community and how things like that can become toxic little echo chambers that do the opposite of what they're intended to.
So in that,
try to form a group where at least you can be exchanging ideas with people who live in the same reality that you do. I understand that sounds like an echo chamber, but what people are failing to understand is that they live somewhere we do not. We are no longer an echo chamber. It's just reality versus them.
So I think that at this point, we're a few days past. I know emotions are still raw. I know a lot of people still that are raw, are like a raw nerve, and I completely respect that. Maintain your safe spaces. Maintain your support group, your support systems,
mental health.
And as ugly as it might be, cut those motherfuckers out of your life. Cut those motherfuckers out of your life that are just going to bring that shit in. You know, anybody who would vote against the way you live your life, anybody who would vote against you having equal representation in this country, anyone who would vote for a motherfucker who is an adjudicated rapist, and you want to, and will turn around and say, I care about women's rights.
Right.
No, sir. There is no middle ground here. You know what you have to do. You have a safe space. You have support systems. Do not forget who those people are, and aggressively organize at the local level. Whatever form that takes. Like I said at the beginning, the battlegrounds are no longer in the halls of legislation. The battlegrounds are now in the fucking streets. It is a war of ideas, and it is going to be knocking on the door here come very fucking soon. I'm trying not to be a goddamn fatalist when it comes to
doomerism has been the theme.
I don't want to be a doomer.
My writing of late.
I don't. Well, but I've read Project 2025, and if they get half the shit done in there, it will be a goddamn fucking nightmare.
Yeah. If we want something better, there needs to be some kind of approach to an institutional resolve, and that needs to be an approach to unionizing. So you need to gather up and unionize at your, wherever you are. Do that.
So,
and if you don't, eat a dick. And also, if you've got a problem with unions, eat a dick. Also,
eventually his camera's going to go out and it's going to be a CIA on there.
Exactly.
And if you have any problems,
the bars,
if somebody asks you about unionization or unions or anything like that,
hang on a second. What's up, James?
Oh, I was just going to say, if you have any problems eating a dick, rub some bacon on it.
Exactly. Yeah. Wrap some bacon around that.
Flavored
And,
lube. Lube is always the right answer.
Make sure you feed the rest of your mom. Yeah. Yeah. Any of these cocksuckers try to, tell you that this is sorry to use this language, but I used to do not that kind of union organizing, but I always wanted to. But I was involved in a union for quite a while. If they try to bring this kind of crap up, show them this. Helen Mirren said, and she's of advanced age, she said one of her biggest regrets in life is that she didn't tell enough people to fuck off. If you get into a union, and there's enough of you in there, all of you get to tell the boss when the boss asks you guys to do stupid things, you get to tell that boss to fuck off. That's the benefit of it. And
Mhm.
that there's nothing more American than telling people to fuck the fuck off.
To fuck off.
So,
Completely agree. We've
so
been doing
look
it since our inception.
I mean, that's literally
Exactly.
this is the Constitution. It was a fuck off, England. It was literally a fuck off.
Yeah.
So-
It's
Yeah.
written into the source code. Yeah.
So start.
Lean
So
into
start.
it.
There are actually some really good books out there. Check out Amazon. If I can, I will send JL some links. Maybe he can add them in. There are really good books on how to engage in labor unionism. I will send them to him, and maybe he can include them in the description. Raven Darkside asks, how does one start a union for unemployed, disabled, trans people? You can do that.
Yeah.
That can be done. Yeah.
Mhm.
But, how it's done is a tough fight. So, yeah, I will try to find those resources for you. And if I can, I'll ship them over to jail. And, maybe he can include those in his...
Yeah, definitely. I can put those
Yeah.
links on there. So we've been going for almost 3.5 hours. I think this has been really, really good. We talked about our feeling. We talked about, the initial reactions. We talked about potentials that could happen. We, just all the various things. And obviously, if you need those opportunities to, you have the comment section below. I'd love your thoughts on both sides. Give me what you got. I'd love to hear from both people. I don't delete comments on my channel. I let YouTube do all the holding, and then if it's negative, typically I approve them unless they're like shady links. So, but yeah, love to hear what people think about this. I really do. Just put it down in there. Whichever side you voted on, I honestly don't care. But I'd love to hear what people's thoughts are on this, especially from a local perspective. What your thoughts are as to what we can do locally, depending upon what state you're in. Stuff like that. So ultimately, I think this has been really, really good. This is a good idea and a lot of fun. I know that tomorrow I will be doing another kind of post-election stream over on Hooligans channel. So that should be a blast. We'll be talking about stuff there. And I think he's put the link out for that one, which should be an interesting time. And we're going to keep having these conversations. This channel will stay religious focused. I'll be focusing on that, on combating Christian nationalism and all that nonsense. I have new content coming out all the time. So I hope you dug the premiere that I had today. I hope you like that one. There'll be more stuff. As for my illustrious guests, thank you so much for joining me. James, Earl, Jeffy Pop, good to go. Any last words, James?
Oh, just take care of yourselves and each other.
Absolutely. And Earl, last words or anything to shill? Bleh, I couldn't find the word.
I'll shill. I'm a good little shill. Find my blog, ikilledearl.com. I am a writer of subversive prose and just
Verse
general.
prose.
I like the big words. I talk about all manner of different subjects. I just wrote a poem based on a conversation I was having because a couple things rhymed and I got inspired. So that's my latest post. But I add stuff all the time and some digital art on there, some other shit. So come visit and sign up on your email. I only send out, if I remember, like an email that's like, hi, remember me, like once a month, so I won't like spam you or anything. Yeah, find me there.
And Jefferson.
Oh, yeah, I'm Jefferson Spatchcock. I have a YouTube channel called Jefferson Spatchcock. I want to apologize for making this live cast overtly pro-union and very left-wing.
I appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
As the organizer of this chaos, I greatly appreciate this.
My channel is dedicated to debunking like presuppositional apologetic claims from idiots like Darth Dawkins and other people. Lately, I've been focusing on the political claims of a weirdo named Doug, who runs a show called Pine Creek.
Not him.
Dude, thank you so much for using the baby Herman thumbnail. I'm so glad you got it there. He's such a it works, right?
My friend.
Thank you for inspiring me. I'd not made the connection when you said it. As soon as you said it, I was like, so many ideas. So yeah, I've used it at least twice. But yeah, I usually cover that kind of stuff. So yeah, if you're interested,
sorry, YouTube bug. You Prager Creek.
Oh my god. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I do. And occasionally show up here to hang out with JL. So
Yeah,
yeah.
everyone
yeah.
should like and subscribe to JL.
Oh,
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely.
I'm coming up.
All the likes, all the subscribes.
I still think I can hit my goal of 10K before 2025. I hope that I can. Slowly but surely, I got to punch out the content faster. I got to do more because that's the nature of the beast. But hopefully 10K by 2025. That's the goal. So, and James, I apologize. Anything you'd like to shill? Anything you have coming up? Or
So I do have a channel. It's mostly just me talking. So if you're ever really
He has a
bored,
fabulous voice.
we have a voice like butter. So hell yes.
I appreciate it.
Mm.
So mostly people show up just to kind of say hi to each other and connect and check out what's going on. So come on over anytime.
I have a question.
I got the butter, I got the salt, and I got the Jeffy Pop. This is fucking perfect, man. I'm ready to go to the movies.
I have a question. I don't know how I'm coming through on the broadcast. James, what the hell microphone are you using?
The King B2.
King B.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the orange and black one?
It's black, but it's got a white N with an orange circle around it.
King B2.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right. King
BEE.
Huh. I know which one. That is a wonderful mic. Yeah.
I love it.
Wait. What's it called again?
It's called the King B2. It's a cardioid mic. It is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking into buying one of those. Your voice sounds great. It's smooth and soft as a velvet child.
No, thanks.
Wow. Okay. So the microphone. Oh, neat.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's actually a neat. It's a neat brand migrophone. So,
Right.
Cardio large diaphragm true condenser microphone includes shock mount pop filter. That's a Cyber Monday.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm saying.
You will need a good mic boom, though. It's a very heavy microphone.
I'm bookmarking that motherfucker.
Yeah, I'm not sure how. The way that I'm sounding, I'm just recording it. I'm just hearing it through my own stuff. And it doesn't sound as beefy and nice as James Apperson's mic.
So you hooligan saying you guys are totally soft landing this way too much and just end the show and talk backstage. So, but hey,
yeah, that could be
we ranted hard, we ranted loud, and we had our points to make. But I think we made them. So. JL will need better room acoustics. I probably do. I do need better room acoustics. I mean, the way this thing is set up as best I can. But hey, if the channel makes that a financial thing where I can just splurge and do what I need to do, I mean, there's a thought. It's gotten better. It's gotten better since when I first started. Go check out my first videos. It's fucking insane. The differentiation between the two. But nonetheless. This has been a fantastic stream. I want to thank all of you for coming out and joining us. Thank you, Earl, for organizing this and putting it together. This was a blast.
Thank you for letting me hijack your pleasure.
Oh, absolutely. It's all good, and a conversation that needs to be had. So I want to thank everybody who came out to the live chat and hung out with us. You all are fantastic. Thank you so much for the super chats and all the super thanks, and all, of course, the new channel memberships and all the milestones. I love seeing those milestones. So thank you all very much for that support. Without it, I could not possibly do this channel. So, and if you like it, I have stuff. I have merch. Check it out. I have a new shirt on there. That's why I'm kind of pushing that. It's, in a world of fuck arounds, be the find out. And it's kind of like a joke that I made with my wife because she was like, oh, so many people fucking around. And offhand, I was like, I'd rather be the find out. I prefer to be the find out because I am the find out. And it works both ways, kind of like in an aggressive and in a kind of like intellectual way. So I liked it. So you can get that shirt. It's currently the link is down there. But nonetheless, this has been fantastic. So from all of us here, the enemy within, okay, wish you all the best. Be safe, be excellent to each other. And together we can bridge the divide.
See you, folks.